think we're live. We're live on a Wednesday. We're live right now. What's going on, Coop? How you doing, sir?
Wu-Tang.
So Wu Wednesday, and we were gonna do this show on a
Puppy is
Friday.
good, but Wu-Tang,
Wu Tang is for the kids, man.
Wu-Tang is for the
And
kids.
Wu Tang's for the children. That's what it is.
For the children. That's what
Yeah,
he said when he
that's
bum rushed
exactly what
the
he
stage.
said. Yo, we were gonna do this show on Friday, but it just made sense to do it on a Wednesday. We want to welcome everybody into the room. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping, as we call it, before we get into the Wu top
Yeah.
10. We want to get everybody into the room too, give everybody a chance to get in. But with this Wu-Tang top 10, what we figured we were gonna do, because we were covering top 10 hip hop groups of all time a couple of weeks back, and organically the conversation just came up like, yo, we should do a top 10 Wu-Tang albums. And the way we're going to do this is, we're going to include the group albums and we're going to include the solo albums. I have my list. Coop has his list. And, we're just now seeing each other's list, even though we know each other. We talk about hip hop all the time. So I kind of figured where this was going to go. And I know you anticipated some disagreements as well. So
I was surprised that you had Iron Man. Never mind. We're gonna get to it. We got to clean house first. We're gonna get
okay,
to it.
yeah. And I do want to put it out, and I guess I'll wait until we get to that conversation. But until we were about to go on, you start mentioning some Ghostface albums, and Ghostface is my favorite MC. And I just totally blanked out the Pretty Tony LP because I don't know. I guess I didn't consider it. And it's actually my third favorite Ghostface album.
It's my fifth favorite Ghostface album.
I
So
love
we
that record
disagree. Yeah.
because Holla's on there, man. And to me, those type of records just let you know like how creative Ghost is, man. He just jumps on a Shy Lights record, the whole record, don't no chopping or nothing, and just raps over it. Who does that? But what I will say, and I think that what I considered on my list, and you're gonna see that, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute. I considered Wu-Tang albums where a lot of the members had a lot of contributions on those albums. So I think that was kind of where my mind was. Not to spoil anything, but that's why I left Nigga Please off. I think Nigga Please is a dope album, but it doesn't have any contributions from the group. So maybe that's why I didn't consider it for this countdown specifically. But first things first, man. I mean, we had a great discussion yesterday, and we appreciate everybody's interaction and a lot of people engaging in the topics. One of the big topics was Cool G Rap and him not showing up to the verses. We didn't at the time that we did the live. We didn't have a lot of details. Saw in some of the comment sections that Kane went on live with Swiss and said that Cool G Rap had prior engagements, yada yada. Cool. But yeah, I don't know, man. Some of the comments was like we was disrespecting G Rap or something like that. That wasn't even the case. Go ahead, Coop.
Right. So, first of all, we're doing a podcast and we're giving opinions. When we're speaking about things as they're happening live, and when we're debating things, most of those things are based on what our opinions are.
Right.
Now we did not have the information because neither one of us watched the live, like where I guess Kane told Fat Joe that that G Rap had prior engagements,
Yeah,
and
Fat
that's
Joe, not
cool.
Swiss. My bad.
No, you're all good.
Yeah.
So, but I want people to understand too, like Mike and here are giving us, and I said this a few times yesterday. This is my personal perspective and opinion on it, based on the way that I'm viewing it, and we're going to get into that on the LL side. But nobody's disrespecting G-Rap, Mike, and I believe that I said yesterday, I said that he's an MC and a lyricist of the highest order. I said specifically that in terms of wordplay, word usage, and flipping of words, that there is nobody comparable to G-Rap.
Definitely. And
I
I
said
think
that yesterday.
yeah, and that was
But
before we brought up Eminem and Pun, right?
right, and about that is the reason that I said that he probably. So let's say he did not have this engagement.
Right.
About the stature of who he is, I still feel like he wouldn't have showed up, because in my mind, G-Rap deserves more than a verse on Kane and KRS-One's verses, and that's really the part that I was really, the thought that I was trying to emanate, you know?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, got that. And I think some people in the comments, I don't know if it was the title or if they, I don't even know if they really watched the video all the way through because, you know, people do that on YouTube too. But
Yeah.
it wasn't one of those things where we wanted to, or was putting out there that somebody had a problem with somebody or anything like that.
Right.
Nobody has a problem with anybody. These guys are legends. We've seen them in many settings together. We've seen them touring together. I know I made the comment that, you know what I'm saying, that G-Rap wasn't touring on that, you know what I'm saying, on that old school hip hop tour that we went to. And, you know, obviously, you know, it could be a business thing, whatever. Maybe that gave an underlining theme that there's a problem, ain't no problems, or anything like that. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? But there is a competitive level when it comes to being an elite MC and being an MC and New York MC. We see that mostly in New York. It's competition, whether you're friends or not. There was still competition with Kane and KRS. KRS was out there telling Kane that he ran out of records. You know what I'm saying? And they're friends. So, you know, it's all in love of hip hop and competition and sport, man.
And also too, Mike, like not at any point during that verses did I expect G-Rap to come out, and not because there's any beef, because of the stature of who G-Rap is. Like he's not necessarily part of any group. Most of his stuff is like solo stuff, and for who he is as an MC, he's not the type of MC that you bring out for like a guest appearance on a versus. Like he's bigger than that and more important than that.
To be honest, man, I didn't even see Master Ace and Craig G coming out to do the symphony. Honestly, the
symphony was a surprise in general, truthfully, and a pleasant one.
And maybe because I've seen Kane do this at shows, I just expected Kane to jump out and do his verse.
Now, you want to know what I've heard, though? And here's maybe why he did the symphony. I've heard that that the symphony is actually Marley Marl had got a hold of one of Scott LaRock's beat tapes and took one of the samples that Scott LaRock had and flipped it. And that was the symphony. That was a story that I heard a long, long time ago, Mike, like when we were teenagers, that Marley Marl actually took that from Scott LaRock and looped it and flipped it into something. So that could be something even more deeper in terms of why Kane played that after the bridge is over.
Right.
Because I was told that like the symphony came actually from like a Scott LaRock scrap heap of beats, like on a tape that Marley got his hands on, and he took the shit and freaked it harder.
You know what? I've never even heard that story, but I think that's a dope story.
Mike, I might have been like 15 or 16 when I heard that story. And that's the first thing I thought of when I actually saw him playing the symphony. I'm like, oh, that's inside stuff.
That's like one of those stories like when, what's this?
Or it could be the other, or Mike, you want to know, it could be the other way around if it's been 25 years, Mike. You want to know, it could be that the bridge is over with scraps from one of Marley's beats too. It could be the other way around. Like it's one of them. One of those beats is the scraps from the other dude's beats because it got something tied into the beef.
You remember that story about LES and Life's a Bitch and that sample?
Yeah, they were supposed to use the
It was supposed to be like the Juicy Fruit
the rump
sample.
shaker or the Juicy. Yeah, it was either rump shaker or Juicy.
Yeah, I think it was the rump shaker sample or whatnot.
Rump
and
shaker
you know, he
sample,
left it at home, and they kind of had to go with what they had. You know, it was like they didn't have time to jump on the train and go all the way back and all that. So, yeah.
I
Graham
mean,
is checked
Yearning
in
for
the
Your
room.
Love is a nice second place sample to pull from. Like, you know what I mean?
Graham just checked in the room. He said a guy on Star said that Scott LaRock's killing wasn't as clear cut as it was made out to be. Now, that's some other shit. We're here to talk about music. But yeah, I mean, I think that none of us expected Kool G Rap to go out there and spit like that anyway. It was just the way that KRS said what he said on stage. And, you know, it was like, you know, I'm like, why was it said like that? And that was pretty much it. But yeah, we get it, man. People got prior engagements. And then business has to line up too when you're talking about something like a versus. And yeah.
But when KRS said it, Mike, he was like really laying claim to him being number one. So he said it in a competitive manner and format.
He did. And that's what it was like. You know, and anytime anybody jumps out on some competitive shit, it's like, oh, like when Jake took the stage at Summer Jam, you know?
So Mike, so let's kind of transition because this is the era of the lyricists, like in the battle guys, like they test each other and talk to and about each other like this, like G Rap was sitting somewhere like, yeah, look, I heard KRS, like, you know what I'm saying, like competitively, like that's how these guys are, because that's how they were brought up in this culture as MCs. And with that said, like, can we talk about L now too, since we're like
Yeah, I
cleaning
want to talk
house?
about L because even in
Yeah.
that even in
Okay.
that
L.
announcement, or I guess we could say stanza that KRS put out there, L's name was left out. And I guess the question that I asked yesterday was twofold question. Like, who is the only verses out there, or who are the verses people left for LL? And why wasn't LL mentioned in that, that G Rap, KRS, Rakim, and Kane conversation? Because, again, we could fool ourselves all we want. But when people put those Mount Rushmores up, and we've seen it, I've seen it, working with According to Hip Hop the whole time, no one puts LL's face on those Mount Rushmores. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just asking why. And I think that really it's because lyrically people don't see LL where they see those guys.
But that okay, so when you
But
say
LL's
that,
something different.
but and that's exact. I wasn't about to say different. I was about to say that doesn't mean that LL isn't great and lyrically great in his own right. Like Mike, these guys, those five guys that I personally had ahead of him, because I had him 6,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of who I would choose from my personal taste, in my opinion, from their music that I've heard. Like, but Mike, like those five guys, like they're top 15 lyrically all time. Easy to me. And
Yeah.
so it's not a slight to L. I keep saying, like, no, I love L. I'm not saying that he's not great. And if you were to tell me that lyrically LL Cool J is even better than Slick Rick, like lyrically, I'd even give you that. So we could even put him in that 5th slot, let's say. But Mike, he's not better than G Rap lyrically. He's not better than Kane or KRS Rakim lyrically. He doesn't all you like that like they do. He doesn't.
I've
He has
never.
records. He has records where he alls you like that, but his focus, and here's where you're right about him being different. His focus isn't like theirs lyrically on the craft of MCing. They have whole songs dedicated to Microphone Fiend, I'm Still Number One,
Yeah.
Raw. You know what I mean? Like those dudes have songs where they're literally talking about their skill level and how great they are with it. L doesn't necessarily do that. So I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm saying he hasn't done it to the level and with the focus and with the lyrical capability at those guys. His focuses have been different, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
That's what I was going to say. The focuses have been different when it comes to their approach of making records, making hit songs, making songs for the ladies. Rakim didn't really care about making songs for the ladies like that. I mean, Mahogany's Mahogany, but that
And that's
wasn't
it,
his
Mike.
focus.
Mike, Mahogany's the only record from his first 4 albums, I believe, where he's even talking about a female.
Right, right. I mean, again, we have to be honest, and again, I think LL is so different. Where like even if you match him up with, and I know it's 2 different eras, and LL's accomplishments totally supersede this artist I'm about to mention. But if you talk about somebody like a DMX or Tupac, right, and where they were able to, make people feel things, that wasn't, again, LL's focus. But when he started, that wasn't what rappers were really doing like that. I mean, I correlated it to the whole 3-point line in basketball. Like Michael Jordan didn't grow up with the 3-point line being important. So he's not going to be the 3-point shooter that Kobe Bryant was. You know what I'm saying? Because that wasn't a focus. And not saying that L couldn't have, in a different era been more focused on other things, but that's one of the things that happens when you come so early. We're going to talk about that too when we talk about this Wu-Tang Top 10, because I feel the same way about Takao. I think Takao's biggest, criticism is the fact that in all of the Wu-Tang efforts, it just came so early that they weren't as evolved as a collective than, as they were moving forward. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the things with L, but his longevity is you can't match that. It's but I do also think if we're being perfectly honest, and I think you said something about this yesterday, as the game has extended, there are other people who have longevity as well, and we have to look at it in context because what Nas is doing right now is unprecedented. So I know that LL came out in '85, and his longevity from '85 to I would say 2004 at that time is just unthinkable.
Right.
But since now, I mean, but at this point, we've had
Different
people
now.
who've done some things that can
Yeah.
correlate to that. You know, Nas dropping in
Yeah.
'94 and dropping King's Disease 2 in 2021 is honestly, it's past that. It is what it is, you know? But, you know, we just have to put everything in context, and there's no disrespect. I mean, as anything evolves and goes on, records are meant to be broken, as they say, right?
Right. So he might be more like Bill Russell like in that regard. Like the league was different when he's played and still considered an all-time great, but maybe not as high up as he used to be because of the awareness about the era that he played in per se or where he came from. But here's another point that I wanted to make. Yesterday when I asked you lyrically where you would have Jay in this from this era, you said you would have him second. I didn't comment, but I went into our comments and I kind of agreed more with some of the comments that got made, which was I would probably have Jay like, and this is what I mean about this is no disrespect to L. Well, Mike, in this era, and you know how much I love Pac. Pac lyrically is not better than those five guys that I put ahead of L yesterday, in my opinion, either, because I was talking lyrically. Mike, I don't think that Jay lyrically is better than Rakim, KRS-One, or Cool G Rap. So I would have him fourth,
Okay.
actually.
I
I would
disagree with you,
probably,
but I
I
see
would,
what you're saying.
Biggie's the only one that, Biggie and Nas are the only ones that I would even potentially have at two or one lyrically from this era, from the next era of great MCs, because
Do you think, hold on. Let's rewind that. You think that lyrically, Big was ahead of Jay?
not when Jay first came out, but by the time whatever
So
like
you think
I told
Jay
you. Well, here,
decreased lyrically?
see, that's the thing. I always thought Jay was slightly better lyrically, but the shit that Big did on Life After Death is just like lyrically like more inclined. And so if you go listen to what Big's doing on Life After Death in '97 and what Jay's doing on In My Lifetime in '97, what do you think is better? Because
Well,
after
clearly
that,
Big
everything
made
from Jay
better
is dumbed
music.
down.
Yeah. Clearly Big made better music, and I guess I'm leaning more so on Reasonable Doubt because I think
Yeah,
lyrically I
okay.
would
So
put
if you want to
Reasonable
talk
Doubt.
lyrically, how about this, Mike? I've always people used to think that I was crazy when I said that lyrically, Reasonable Doubt's better than Ready to Die.
I think so. But
Yeah,
I
it
agree with
is.
you. Like, this is the thing. Because, again, I don't want people to get shit twisted. I think that Ready to Die is probably the better album. They're very close. Ready to
Slightly,
Die is probably the better album
slightly,
just because of the grit, right? And just where it's
slightly.
coming from.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Big is clearly the better lyricist on Life After Death.
He's
So I do,
rocking Nas type lyrically great. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
So,
and it's
so
effortless too. You know, I mean, you could
it's
tell
it's
that Ready
stunning.
to Die was made in different time periods, right? Like you could tell that there was a lapse. You could tell the Uptown records, and you could tell the Bad Boy records
Ready to
in
Die
Biggie's
has a
voice.
classic feel that very few like rap albums have.
Right, exactly. It has a feel. It's
It has a
it's
feel.
different in that way.
You feel where Big's coming from.
But lyrically, though, I see what you're saying. You're comparing the Life After Death Big. This is the thing with
See,
Jay.
that's the thing. Life After Death, Big lyrically is to me better than Jay on Reasonable Doubt and Volume One. And if you go look at the stuff like the Get Money remix, the Victory off No Way Out, it's like it's hard for me to say in clear conscience because Jay dumbed it down a little bit after that point, going into Volume Two and thereon. You know, because here's the thing, Mike, the Blueprint is a classic, but it's not like some lyrical masterpiece now, is it? You don't consider
No,
it to
it's
be a
not.
lyrical masterpiece, do
No, it's
you?
not. And I honestly feel like, and this is gonna sound crazy, I feel like on the Blueprint too, he actually was rhyming better than he was on the Blueprint One. The Blueprint One just has so much, better songs.
Better
The
songs.
Black Album, he's out rapping both albums.
I'm about to say, lyrically, his best albums to me are actually Reasonable Doubt Volume 1 and then the Black Album.
Somebody's asking a really good question in here. Big Knock from Chi-Town said, I have a question. Who's the better storyteller between Big and Slick Rick?
Okay, so...
We're about to get off course real quick.
I mean, so my favorite 5 storytellers, the 5 greatest storytellers to me are Nas, Big, Slick Rick, Scarface, and Ghostface.
That's crazy. I have the same 5, probably in different orders. I got Scarface number 1 in that. I got Ghostface number 2 in that. I got Nas number 3 in that. I got Big number 4 in that. And I got Slick Rick number 5 in that.
So here's the thing that I'll say about Nas and why I have Nas number 1. And Death Row East is more credence to it because it's another classic story. Nas literally has a classic album worth of classic stories.
No, that's real. And you know what? Those top 3 can go in any order.
Yeah,
but I think I have Ghost and Scarface ahead of Nas just simply off of feeling and how they're able to make you feel. Now, Nas is the most detailed storyteller of all of them.
So I would agree with you on that. Like the stuff that Face gives you when he's telling you a story and the feeling is different, and Ghost is so animated and entertaining, it's going to hit you different. But that's what I'm speaking to. They haven't done as many of those. Like after you were to go through about 5 or 6 or 7 joints, you're going to find yourself kind of like reaching. And then Nas is going to keep on extending himself with his stories because he's got Blaze of 50 to pull out. He's got Rewind to pull out. You get what I'm saying? Now he got Death Row East to pull out. You get what I'm saying? He got the setup to pull out, Mike. He got a lot of stuff to pull out, just story-wise from what he's done.
Damian Frederick said something I want to get corrected. He said that I disagree. I think lyrically, Reasonable Doubt was lyrically better than Ready to Die. That's what we said. We said that.
You said that?
Yeah. We think that Life After Death is probably lyrically better than Reasonable Doubt. But see, I don't know. I would have to think about that. I understand what you're saying on a versatility level, but I think Reasonable Doubt lyrically is Jay at his best. And I don't think that he fell off from that. I think he just consciously made an effort to change that. So I don't know if that makes him drop off as a top-notch lyricist either. You know what I'm saying? That's my only thing.
I didn't say it wasn't top-notch. His drop off is like him dumbing it down is still better lyrically than 90% of what you're gonna get.
All right, so those people that you mentioned that you got ahead of Jay, let's take it album wise. Do they have an album that you would say is lyrically better than Reasonable Doubt? I think the only ones that I could say yes for is Rakim.
Okay, so if you're basing it on that context, yes, but you're only basing it on one album, and that would be the problem.
But he is the author of that album.
No, yeah, but it's like, okay, so let's go to KRS right quick. Lyrically, he's got Criminal Minded, By Any Means Necessary, Return of the Boom Bap, KRS-One, The Blueprint. He's got 5 albums that are lyrically strong, like at a high level.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's put all this in. Let's put all this in context.
Even when you hear Cool G rap, like in '95 on 456, the point is like to spit. Like It's a Shame is like a rapping course. Like dudes can't rap like that except for like him and Kane.
I think Jay-Z's strongest albums lyrically, I'm gonna say, are Reasonable Doubt. Interesting enough, no particular order. Volume 1. I think The Blueprint is lyrically strong in no particular order again. The Black Album, The Blueprint 2, American Gangster. Some of those other records, he was kind of coasting. I think Volume 2, he's very skilled. Volume 2, really, if you want to talk about his skill set and how he approached it, is very Life After Death like. You know what I'm saying? Like, he understood that I might need to slow a couple things down. I might need to simplify a couple of things to make better records. You know what I mean?
See, no, Volume 1 was him trying to do that. Volume 2 was him executing it.
That's what I'm saying. Volume 1 was him trying to find that what's beef and more money, more problems balance.
Right, he was trying to find the balance. Yeah. Right.
And the hardcore stuff was just so much better than the I know what girls like and all that. So yeah.
No, same thing with Nas on I Am. Like, trying to
Yeah.
balance Dr. Knockboot and Dr. Knockboot and Nas is like. It's like,
Yeah.
nah, fam, do Nas is like.
And see, again, I think that LL is such in a different category. Like, what would you say is LL's most lyrical album? Bad?
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, this is more about making songs. Because, I mean, even the doo-wop, him telling a story and, what I'm saying, approaching it in that way, like one long verse. Or, damn, I mentioned it last show. It's on Bad as well. This is going to bother me. The, shit. It's right before I Need Love.
It's been so long since I listened to Bad, Mike. You're going to have to pull it up.
Great album. Great album. And
It is a great album.
probably
It's one of
his
hip hop's
best.
first real, like, true classic albums.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat help me out. Y'all know it's The Breakthrough. I ain't even have to look it up.
Oh, The
Anyway,
Breakthrough. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got songs like the doo-wop, The Breakthrough, and L didn't continue to do, those things like on a high level. It was more about making songs, like you said. It's more about approach. I think LL obviously has his space in hip hop's greats, but it's very hard to really place L at this point as the game has continued to evolve, as people's careers have continued to extend, and people can say what they want, but when they're out there putting these Mount Rushmores together, you're not putting L on there. And I don't know whose fault that is. I think LL's story just hasn't been told the way that it needs to, but when we break his career down, he does a lot of things that nobody has done, but at the same time, he still gets underappreciated for it, and it's like, why? And where do you place L?
So
I have no idea.
Hold on. Do you think L's a top 20 MC?
He has to be.
Then how is he underrated? I mean, isn't that?
I think that I think a lot of people feel like LL, the GOAT, should be considered top 5 or top 10. And I think that anything other than that is seen as disrespectful. It's kind of like when we had the Run DMC conversation. I remember that it used to be a time where if Run DMC is not top 3, it's disrespectful. You know what I mean?
But we're not in that. We're just not in that time anymore. We're not in that place, in that space. And it's like we just have to stack L's catalog up, honestly, because truthfully, where he suffers the most is catalog in reference to being the greatest of all time. So let's say this. He has a better catalog than Slick Rick and G-Rap and Kane, correct?
Yeah.
Does he have a better catalog than KRS?
See, that's why I wanted to see that versus. Because a lot of people would say yes. A lot of people would say no. See, I feel you.
Mike.
The only
like KRS's first 2 rap albums are classics. We don't even know if L has 2 classics.
Cool. I feel you, and that's why
a lot of people feel Return of the Boom Bap and the KRS-One album are classics too, Mike. A lot of people feel like the Blueprint is a classic. Like KRS got 5 potential classics floating around. Nobody talks about L's catalog that way.
Listen, I'm not arguing with you. I'm with you.
Nobody talks about L having 5 potential classic albums.
That's why I wanted to see that on stage, and we missed that opportunity because that would have been something that I think that we could have actually had some sort of gauge of something from. We already knew KRS's catalog was just way longer than Kane's. You know what I'm saying? Like, we needed, if we were going to do somebody from the 80s, KRS and LL should have been the ones. Rakim and Kane should have been the ones.
My KRS-One catalog is longer than Rakim's. It's just not better at the top end. Like KRS-One's best songs aren't better than Rakim's best song. KRS-One's overall catalog is stronger than Rakim's. Like if you want to go like 100 songs deep.
Well, speaking of verses, and I hate to cut it off here, but we like 30 minutes in. We got people coming in the room. We're going to have to get to this Wu-Tang countdown. But a lot of people are talking about the fact that, everybody's been saying that Busta doesn't have anybody to go against. So there's been this post that's been going around where people feel like Missy is the best matchup for Busta Rhymes. So the post says the reason why y'all can't find the right person to battle Busta Rhymes is because you're looking at the wrong gender. Twista posted this too. It's been a meme going around, but Twista posted this. And Twister says, some of my fans have asked me for a versus with Busta Rhymes. My time is coming, but for Busta, this would be the dopest I've seen. And then the Brat comes in there and says, this would be ill. She got joints. She writes songs. Uh, she writes songs for majors. Whitney, Janet, Mariah, Aaliyah, etc., etc. Not to mention her collabos. Missy Elliott would take this one hands down. What do y'all think in the room? Do y'all think that Busta Rhymes' best matchup is Missy Elliott? Do you think it's another good matchup for Busta out there? Like, what do you think about this, Coop? Or what do you think about the fact that the Brat says that Missy would beat Busta Rhymes in a verse?
I don't agree that she would beat Busta Rhymes, but I'm highly fascinated. I'm going to tell you why.
Go ahead.
Missy got haymakers, and people need to recognize, like, she has haymakers. She has records that she can throw on. Like, her and Timberland were magic together. You know, she has records that she can throw on that can legitimately compete with Buster's high energy, pace, hit record making capability, innovation, creatively, and performance wise, she can match him. And so this is not an MC conversation, but she checks every other box to do this shit, Mike. Yes, she do. She checks every other box to do it except for the MC level capability. But as far as the songs, for anything else you want, yeah, she got it. I don't think she'd win because of what I said, because of it's a versus, so that MC capability, like Buster's going to do some stuff a cappella probably, like the Chris Brown shit, and just display his MCing skills.
Right.
Oh, but it's fascinating, and she is a worthy opponent, and anybody saying that she's not, they don't know they shit.
I think that both of them have similar, I guess, issues when it comes to matching up with people, because you want to talk about what female in hip hop, Missy can or what person in hip hop, period, Missy can match up with. You kind of draw a blank. This is what I will say. I guess this shows. This kind of shows how people view
Mike. Let me say something right quick. Missy doing a versus with another female almost isn't fair because of how much she's written for other female artists. There's so much stuff she could pull from to beat another female in a versus. That's why I like the Buster idea, because what the Brat's saying is true. Like, it ain't just her catalog stacked up. It's all that stuff she did for other people. Like, she
even outside of that, though, like her catalog alone, I don't think there's a female in hip hop that has a catalog as long as hers. I think Nicki might, because Nicki came up in the era where people made a whole lot of music and a whole lot of collaborations. But when you start talking about females in hip hop, they're not. But I'm just saying, like, just to have a long catalog, because not a lot of females in hip hop on a mainstream level have more than 3 or 4 albums. That, you know what I'm saying, that we're hitting like that. And I think, you got Kim out there and you got Nicki out there. When you start talking about 3 or more albums that were in, heavy rotation like that. Listen, I think that for me, I think I'm a Busta Rhymes fan, and I'm a huge Missy fan, Missy and Timberland. And love the combination of both. I think that me as a Busta Rhymes fan, I view Busta Rhymes differently than the mainstream audience does. And I think that's why, for me, I want to see, and I see people in the chat talking about Ludacris. I like that matchup.
You texted me about that.
I like that matchup, and when Luda and Nelly did theirs, I don't think a lot of people saw it. That's when they had a lot of sound quality issues with verses. They didn't have the big stage, and I was sitting there like, wow, Luda has a lot of work and a lot of collaborations stylistically. As MCs, that makes sense. I think there's a slight era difference, right, with Luda coming in 2000 and some of Busta's 90s stuff being a little bit more raw. And see, I kind of view Busta Rhymes as the woo-ha Busta Rhymes, the make sure everything remains raw Busta Rhymes. And I don't know if that's the accurate way to view him, but that's kind of how I view him. So I like the Ludacris matchup, but I was talking to Ron yesterday, and he said, well, what about Method Man? And I was like, well, you know what? I think that's even better. I would like to see Busta Rhymes and Method Man, and the fact that Method Man and Busta come from the same era. They're MCs. They're great performers because Method Man is a very underrated performer. I know we talk about Method Man and Redman's performance ability together, but as an individual, Method Man's pretty strong too.
Both of them separately are very strong performers. Yes.
Very strong performance separately. And when you talk about the features that those guys did in that '90s era, there's nobody who's a better feature MC than Busta and Method Man in the '90s. Period. So I like the Method Man and Busta Rhymes matchup for me a little bit more than this.
When you say feature artist, do you mean like on a hit making, like mainstream level?
I mean, like when, well, I guess you could say that, but just on some street shit, like when Method Man was on Mom Made Up with Tupac, or when he was on The What with Biggie, or when Busta Rhymes and Method Man were on Hit 'Em High from Space Jam, or when Busta Rhymes and Method Man were on the Vibin' remix with Boyz II Men. You
That's
know
what
what
I
I
was
mean?
thinking about. The
Shit
Vibin'
like
remix was
that.
dope.
Darnell Lee says Meth would get washed. I don't know, man. Method Man is a member of the Wu-Tang. When you got Wu-Tang records to fall back on, you have an edge. Period. Like, let's think about that. Even outside of Method Man's individual shit, he got Wu-Tang shit to fall back on.
It's a whole problem.
That's
Mike.
a whole problem. So I don't think Method Man would get washed. I think Luda could possibly get washed.
I don't like that for Luda because here's what I was actually about to ask you. I have a few thoughts. My first thought, if we want to go to Luda right quick, is Luda's biggest hits his biggest Busta's biggest hits? Like, in terms of how people are going to react to it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where, and I felt like this watching the Luda and Nelly verses. A lot of their music, I say this respectfully, is a little dated.
Like, how about this? Like when Buster plays, like even an older hit, like when he plays "Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See."
Like, listen, if he plays that and Method Man plays "Bring the Pain," this ain't a wash.
Exactly, and so I think I would give Busta the edge still, but yeah. I think it's viable. I had a couple of thoughts about a couple of verses, maybe because we're not going to get the Nas and Jay verses. I was actually thinking about doing some tribute verses where you do a Biggie and Jay verses and you do a Nas and Pac verses. What are your thoughts about that? Because we're not getting the Nas and Jay verses. So maybe you could do a tribute versus.
I think a Nas and Pac versus is very interesting. I think that a Big and Jay versus, that's interesting too on a different level.
Right. Jay may not want to do
that. Right. Yeah, man. Because the thing is, and I've always felt like this about Jay, I think Jay really worked to be the greatest. And I know we have spoken about this in previous episodes. I think that, let me cut this off. This alert is bothering me. I think we spoke about this in previous episodes, right? The fact that Nas has probably passed Jay catalog-wise just because of the work that he's done over the past 5 to 10 years. But Jay's blueprint to get to where, he is in his prominence was through the lane that Biggie left wide open. And I think that when you play those Biggie records and then you play a Jay record against it, you're going to hear that. And it's as great as Jay was able to fill in some of those spots that Biggie left open, Big still did it better. And I say that respectfully. I mean, Jay did it the best he could. He was the best person for the job. But what Big did on One More Chance, man, I can't really see anybody doing that, to be honest. Could you?
Mike, you got a few songs like that.
No, I'm just using that as an example.
I feel that way about More Money, More Problems. Like who can start off a verse on a hit record talking about BIGPOPPA, no info for the DEA, federal agents, mad because I'm flagrant. Like who get... Like, he crazy.
These are radio records. Like, it
ain't the same. It ain't, and that was always my biggest contention with Jay is that, like, for me, he always filled a void in the lane that got left open, not so much as created a lane. Pac created a lane. Big created a lane. Nas created a lane. And I also want to retract one of my statements when I said Pac's got heavy enough records to contend with Rakim's catalog too, because Pac's records are so heavy,
Pac's records are different. I
so
want to
heavy.
get back real quick though. What do you think about the possibility of Busta and Meth? And I know people will say that Method Man and Redman did their verses, but that was more like a concert. That wasn't a verses at all, and it was incredible because I'm
Definitely
a
was a
huge fan
celebration.
of both of them. That was
It's
a
a whole
concert.
celebration.
That was a concert. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about the possibility of Busta and Method Man?
No, I like that because Meth got the Wu-Tang shit to pull from, which we're about to get into.
Mm-hmm.
He's got "I'll Be There for You." That's bigger than any records Busta's ever made.
It's real.
That's real.
Yeah.
I got "Bring the Pain," Mike, which I still think is one of the 50 best rap songs ever.
As much as I love Busta and Put Your Hands on My Eyes Can See, I'm listening to Bring the Pain before that record. Now, I'm not going to say that in the verses that, people would score Bring the Pain over it. But
I
me
will.
personally,
I will. No, it's a better record. "Bring the Pain's better than "Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See." I'll say that live right now.
we're going to get to Bring the
Without
Pain in a minute
hesitation.
when we talk about Tikal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the cat.
Yeah, we're going to talk. You know what? That's a good segue, man. Let's
let's go ahead.
Yeah, because we could talk about this versus stuff all day, man. All right, so Coop and I put together a Wu-Tang top 10. And for the people who are just now getting in the room, we wanted to do the top 10 Wu-Tang albums, counting the Wu-Tang albums and the Wu-Tang solo albums. And I put together a list, and Coop put together a list. Here's the list. My list, I got Only Built for Cuban Links at number 1. I got Into the Wu-Tang at number 2. Supreme Clientele at 3. Liquid Swords at 4, Wu-Tang Forever at 5, Iron Man at 6, Return to the 36 Chambers at 7, The W at 8, Only Built for Cuban Links 2 at 9, and The Pillage at 10. Coop came in and did Only Built for Cuban Links at number 1. We got Into the Wu-Tang 36 at number 2. We got the same top 2. And then Liquid Swords at 3, Supreme Clientele at 4, Iron Man at 5, Wu-Tang Forever at 6, Only Built for Cuban Links at 2, Return to the 36 Chambers, Dirty Version at 8, The W at 9, Tikal, and Nigga Please at 10, right? You got them tied?
Yes,
Okay, well, I guess you know what? We could start there. We could start there at...
You want to start in reverse?
No, we could start there because I left Tikal off. And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm sure a lot of people are like, where's Method Man? He didn't have an album represented on my top 10. And I really, really went back and listened to Tikal and Tikal 2000, trying to get Method Man a spot. But I listened to The Pillage and Tikal, and I would be lying to myself if I said I enjoyed Tikal more than I enjoyed Capadonna's The Pillage. I think as far as Tikal goes, I love the intro. I love Bring the Pain. I think Bring the Pain is by far the apex of that album. And nothing else on there really matched it. You're All That I Need, unfortunately, the version that is one of the greatest hip-hop songs, hip-hop records on there, is not on there. I love What the Blood Clot. It's dope. Meth vs. Chef was cool. But see, again, for me, Meth vs. Chef revealed something. It revealed the fact that this is early on in the Wu-Tang solo releases. And when you put a Meth vs. Chef up there with O'Donna or something, it's like these guys just got better. And unfortunately, Tikal was a moment where it sounded like they were, obviously it came out right after 36 Chambers, months after it. So they didn't have a lot of time. And I've heard Method Man speak about the fact he didn't have a lot of time recording this project. And it sounds like it. And it sounds like a lot of the other projects that I got on my list, they were able to take more time on. They were better MCs. They were better artists. And they're just better projects altogether. So that's why I didn't have Tikal on mine. Let me look at the list again. I want to, kind of explain myself too. I mean, yeah, I couldn't put Tikal over The Pillage. I couldn't put Tikal over Only Built for Cuban Links 2. And I couldn't put it over The W. I just couldn't.
So I have a couple of comments about something that you spoke to. Understand when you're listening to The Pillage, that's after Wu-Tang Forever.
It is.
They've been out for almost 4 going on 5 years. the money's different. Therefore, the production and the engineering is different, and the progression as MCs is different. But what I'm going to submit to you is that Tikal is actually a better timepiece than we thought, because Tikal, more than any of the other albums, is gritty the way Enter the Wu-Tang is because of the time that it comes out. And there are records on here. And I would also submit to you that Tikal really suffers from the fact that these guys don't have money yet on the production and engineering side. And that's not at a fault to Meth. Enter the Wu-Tang comes out, what, December of 93, right?
November of 93.
November of 93? Okay, so Tikal is coming out December of 94. So literally a year later, like Mike,
it came out November 15th, 94. So literally
November. So literally a year later. Mike, they were still releasing singles from Enter the Wu-Tang were still fucking playing.
No, definitely. I don't think Method Man got set up for success, but he didn't get set up in the way that Snoop Dogg got set up for.
His star personality and charisma got him set up for success. He didn't get set up for success. And so you have to look at Tikal really through a different lens. And Mike, these records on here are dope.
Well, hold on. To put a little bit of that in context, and I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Let's look at Snoop Dogg, right? The Chronic came out December of 92. Doggy Style came out November of 93. Very similar situations here. Now, it's different because there's a whole crew.
No, it's not.
And
Dr. Dre is a professional, like 7-8 years in the game when the Chronic is coming out.
That's
so
true.
The tutelage and the coaching and the organization and the structure is totally different because Dr. Dre is there and already knows the game in and out.
I give you that. Now go ahead with your other point. You're right.
Yeah.
But so I just want to put that out there just in case somebody brought that up. You know what I mean?
These are dudes from the projects in Staten Island. Like, they just blew up. People have to understand. First of all, Protect Your Neck was the first single. Like, you know what I'm saying? They didn't start blowing up till Cream.
When was Cream officially released?
That's a good question. I feel like that was the summer.
Let me see. I feel like that
was the summer year
of 94, yeah. Let me see.
Yeah, I feel like that's the summer of 94 that we're hearing Cream. Maybe that spring.
Let me see. Cream was officially released as a single. Actually, it was January 31st, 94.
January 31st, 94?
Yep.
What's the order of the singles on Enter the Wu-Tang? Is fascinating because they did so many. Like, they did Shame on a Nigga, they did Chess Boxing, they did Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With, they did Cream.
Well, it was Protect Your Neck first, then it was Method Man second, then it was Cream third, then it was Can It Be also Simple fourth, and let's see, those are the 4 singles.
Those are the official singles, so other stuff was just B-sided with videos.
Right. Those are
their B-sides made videos, by the way.
Right. And so, Can It Be Also Simple was February 22nd, 94. The B-side to that was Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With. The B-side to Cream was The Mysterious Chess Boxing. The B-side
we had that on vinyl.
The B-side to Method Man, was there a B-side to that?
No, B-side. Method Man was the B-side to Protect Your Neck, I thought. That's why.
Okay. And then they ended up releasing, I think
the original version of Method Man was the B-side to Protect Your Neck.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the B-side to Protect Your Neck was Method Man, so yeah.
Right. So they're running off of 6 songs in 94. Right. For one, as in they're touring, they're making their money. He's on the tour bus like he's talking about. But Mike, Tikal's a great record. Biscuits is a dope record. Bring the Pain is an all-time great record. Mm-hmm. What the Blood Clot is a dope record. Mike, I love Meth vs. Chef. And I want to tell you why. It was the first time that you really heard live competition within a group. And then you hear the stories about how these niggas literally used to rap each other for beats. And that's what I mean about it being a great timepiece. So let's dock the time right quick. So Meth vs. Chef in 94 is them fighting for beats. On the Duel of the Iron Mike in 95, it's talking about the demise of them because of the heights that they rose to at the end of the song. Part of stuff like that is an important timepiece. It takes you back to a simpler time when these dudes literally used to fight each other on wax for beats. That's hip hop.
I feel you. And you're taking
Release
it
your
into a whole different arena. And you know
Release
what?
Your
With
Delph,
you being
Mike. No, there are dope records on here. Release Your Delph is a dope record. Mr. Sandman is a dope record. The Method Man remix is a dope record. And so this album is doper than we thought that it was. The real problem with Takao was the albums that came after it.
yeah,
The Dirty Version, The Purple Tape, Liquid Swords, Iron Man.
I agree with that.
Wu-Tang Forever. That's some of the best rap shit you're gonna find, period. Like, damn, Wu-Tang Clan, like that's some of the best rap you're gonna find.
Well, with all that timepiece stuff that you were saying, which is, valid, why did you tie it with Nigga Please? Because Nigga Please is not a timepiece. And I'm
It
gonna
actually is.
say why
How
I
many
did.
albums? It actually is. How many albums did Old Dirty Bastard release?
You're right.
It's his timepiece. It's
it
the
is
Old
his
Dirty Bastard
timepiece.
timepiece. We only got 2 albums from him.
And I like Nigga Please. I think the only reason why I left it off the list is because the lack of involvement from the other Wu-Tang members. And I'll say that same thing about the Pretty Tony LP, because the Pretty Tony LP, and I think, I said this at the beginning of the show, is actually my 3rd favorite Ghostface album. And Ghostface is my favorite MC. And I didn't even consider this album probably because of the lack of Wu-Tang participation on that effort. So that's the reason why Nigga Please is not on my list. But why did you put Nigga Please and Takao as a tie? Go back
because
to
they're both great timepiece albums for those artists for different reasons. It's technically Dirty's real last album. He only did 2 albums because of legal troubles, lifestyle that he chose to live. And those things, we only got 2 albums from him. This album is strikingly brilliant, and you see all the good, bad, and the ugly on Nigga Please. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see his candor, you see his candidness. Like, when he's talking about, I get the cocaine, it cleans out my sinuses. Like, you get the humor. Like, it's very Richard Pryor-like in terms of, like...
Even the album cover, which is one of my favorite album covers, too.
It's one of my favorite album covers, Mike. I mean, and how about this? Name another rap artist that can cover Good Morning Heartache by Billie Holiday and cover Cold Blooded by Rick James on the same damn album.
I'm with you on that.
With other songs titled I Want Pussy and Nigga Please on it.
I
What?
Listen, I got the pillage at my 10.
With Chris Rock talking shit on your intro.
We're going to start at 10 because I have the pillage
Mike,
at 10.
I'm not done yet. And production by the Neptunes and RZA on there. That album's great.
What I was going to say is the fact
Nigga, please.
What I was going to say is the fact that you're making me rethink having the pillage at 10. The pillage is at 10 for me because I really feel like that was the last
Wu-Tang.
That was the last dirty sounding Wu-Tang effort that we were getting. Like, of that whole first round of the solo efforts, I think of that sound that we knew of from Liquid Swords and all that. The pillage is the last moment you get that, and for that reason, it is a timepiece.
But Mike, what I would tell you is that
ODB's
it's not
Nigga
up to
Please.
par.
But what I was gonna say is Nigga Please is like that new window, right? Because when Raekwon dropped his sophomore album, was that before? I feel like Nigga Please was after that. So that was before.
Nigga Please is after. Hold on. Actually, a Mobilarity and Nigga Please is actually around the same time because I remember being a freshman in college and having both of those projects.
A Mobilarity was disappointing, right? And Nigga Please was probably the first successful Wu effort that wasn't like a Wu effort, right? So I will give Old Dirty's Nigga Please a moment for that too. So I feel like Pillage was the close, where Nigga Please was kind of like the open for that new door.
Okay, so Mike, I agree with you. The Pillage is a close, but what I would tell you is that it's not in a good way. It's not as strong as any of the efforts before it, including Takal, in my opinion.
Nah, man. Slang Editorial, The Pillage, Run. You got Old Donna, Milk This Cow. Man.
Those aren't better than the Method Man records that I just listed because you're putting Method Man up against Capadonna. Kappa's not winning that.
I'm sorry. I think the only...
You're not putting Takal and Bring the Pain up against those records. You're not putting
I think
Release
Bring the
Your
Pain
Delph.
is the only one I'll give you. I'll give you Bring the Pain. But yeah, Release Your Delph.
No,
yes,
Mike, Takal, Release Your Delph.
O'Donna's better than Meth vs. Chef.
What the blood clot? You
Slang
don't like what the blood clot,
editorials.
Mike? You don't like what the blood
I
clot?
do, but I don't like it better than Milk This Cow. I
I
don't.
like Milk This Cow. Milk
Super
This Cow might be my
Ninjas.
favorite joint on there.
Super Ninjas, like nah. Slang editorials better than Takal. Like I said, I'll give you Bring the Pain.
Hold on, Slang Editorial is the one where he said, I came to the fork in the road and went straight. Is that the one? Yeah,
that video is incredible, man.
It's better.
Yeah, nah.
It's
and Black Boy was dope. So yeah, nah. I'm sorry.
No, you got a good argument. It's a drop off to me though, and he's just not meth on the mic to me. It's not as entertaining. It's not as charismatic. It's not a good of a timepiece.
I think that, man, you are giving Method Man credence because of who he is over Capadonna. I think Capadonna's Pillage is a
because he's a better MC than Capadonna, and Takal's a better lyrical display than the Pillage.
We're talking about the album.
Hold on. Who's better as an MC on the album? Like Method Man on Takal or Capadonna on the Pillage? Because the only thing that I feel like you have with the Pillage is that the production and the organization and the structure of the clan is what shows on the Pillage. Capadonna, the MC's not fucking with Meth on Takal.
Did you not hear Run?
Run and Slang Editorial. Mike, Run and Slang Editorial are his finest moments, and those aren't better than Meth's finest moments as an MC on Takal.
Super Ninjas is crazy. Like I said,
I don't agree with you when you say Super Ninjas is crazy. It's dope. It's not crazy.
I don't know, man. I'll put it this way, and this was my telltale in the whole thing. I was listening to Takal, and then I put on the Pillage. Which album would I rather listen to? I'd rather listen to the Pillage.
Because it sounds cleaner, Mike. They got better engineers. They got money. The production's better. It's cleaner.
Well,
it's just cleaner.
It is what it is.
Like Late Registration sounds better than the College Dropout, and I prefer it. But the people that tell me they prefer the College Dropout, I understand why they're saying that. It don't sound as good. It's not as clean. It's not as crisp. But they're talking about the feel. They're talking about the vibe. They're talking about the MC. I get it.
You know what I found when I was listening to all these albums that, some of the ones that I haven't listened to in a while? I actually like more songs on Takal 2000 than I like on Takal. I just don't really like Takal like that. And I love
Takal 2000 is disorganized, Mike. I went and listened to it yesterday. I listened to it some of it again today. It's too many skits. It's all over the place. The records are inherently dope, but what's the purpose? What's the message? Where he going? Takal got a Wu-Tang feel to it, at least. It's on some Wu-Tang shit.
No, it does, but again, that feel got superseded by other efforts, and
also too, we need not Meth for RZA not being the epic producer that he was about to become, because Mike, Takal, production wise, then Return to the 36 Chambers, major step up.
Of course.
Mike,
and again, I said those things in the beginning.
Mike, to the Purple Tape, all-time great step up. And then in the Liquid Swords, Iron Man, Pillage, Wu-Tang Forever, it's like, oh, well, this dude got it.
We're saying the same things, Coop, but it sounds like you're giving Meth.
We just feel different.
You're giving Meth a pass for things that just weren't there.
You love Meth more than I do. I'm not giving Meth a pass. Takal's dope.
Yeah, I'm not even saying Meth a pass. You're giving Takal
I'd rather hear Method Man go Takal than hear Super Ninjas. Yeah, you damn right. You damn right.
You're giving Takal a pass because of where the group was at the moment. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It is what it is.
Tupac took he made a whole hook out of it.
You talk about Bring the Pain again. And again, I will concede to Bring the Pain. And you know what? Bring the Pain actually is a reflection.
The Pillage isn't far off from Takal. I'm just saying it's not the same. It's not the same time.
Bring the Pain is a reflection of where this album could be, but it wasn't. And that's just what it is, man. When you got a song that's just that much better than everything else on there.
No. You want to know what? The biggest problem with Takal is that Chef Raekwon's the only Wu-Tang member on the album. It needed some more Wu-Tang shit, because every other album that we're about to name is heavy on that Wu-Tang shit.
But again, I think Takal was that album that they put out there and was like, you know what? We need to do more of this and less of this.
It was the test dummy. Mike. I won't do it.
It was the test dummy.
I won't do it.
It was the test dummy, and I'm not going to sit in it. It was very important in the fact that it showed them what was working and what wasn't. And like you said, big step up from that to Dirty's album. But you have to sometimes mess up a little bit to see where you need to go.
his mess up is comparable to the Pillage, and it's a better timepiece, and the heights of that album are better. That's what I'm saying.
You
It's
just don't like
flawed.
Capadonna, man. You just don't like Capadonna.
I
Yeah,
like
I'm gonna go to
Kappa.
2000 real quick, right? Judgment Day 2000 to Cal 2000, Method Man's follow up. I liked Dangerous Grounds. I thought was crazy. Sweet Love was dope.
It's not crazy, sweet. It's
No,
not
no, no, no,
crazy,
no, no,
Mike.
no.
These are all dope records.
Dangerous Rounds was crazy, man. Meth was
Sweet.
snapping
I
on
prefer.
there. Meth was snapping on Dangerous Grounds.
Torture. He's snapping.
Torture is crazy.
Torture is crazy.
I like
Play for
Retro
Keeps
Godfather.
is crazy.
I like Retro Godfather.
No, Mike.
Spazzola, not
no,
so
Mike.
much.
No.
Retro Godfather had that, you know what I'm saying, that retro 80s, early 80s hip hop feel to it. That was cool. Party Crasher was dope.
Party Crasher's dope.
I like Killing Fields. Big
Killing
Dog.
Fields dope.
Big Dogs, Redman.
I don't love the beat.
Breakups to Makeups. See, you don't like Eric Sermon's beats. Yeah.
That's not true. It's just
Spence Overtone
very
says, I'm
problematic.
cool on Release Your Death. I feel you, man. Like, I'm not a big Release Your Death fan like that.
Nobody really asked either one of y'all. You know?
See, we see who's partial here. And see, you know what? I want people to go back and listen to the Pillage and listen to the Cal and tell me what y'all think. Because
No, Mike, put the post
Manifesto
up.
says he gonna go back and listen to the Pillage.
Put the post up, Mike.
Yeah,
Run the post.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be a
Let me tell you something,
popularity contest at that
Mike,
point.
I'm going to tell you something. So the last cat who did my tattoo is from up top. He actually grew up with Onyx. He's still tight with them.
Mm-hmm.
He lives up here on this side. The tattoo that I got on my chest, he did it. He actually put the Pillage on while he was doing my ink. And he was like, I was like, I don't feel the Pillage. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, nah, nigga. He's like, you going to listen to this? And so he got me to listen. I was like, yo, fam, I'm like, you right. Like, I'm sleeping on the Pillage. So I'm like, I'm giving the Pillage's due. And it's right outside my top 10, but I can't put it in I can't put it ahead of Takal because at the end of the day, Mike, I'm an MC guy. I like lyrics and MCs.
Wait a minute.
and
Don't do Kappa like that.
No.
Kappa's stupid nice. Win
Kappa's
awards.
stupid nice. And you're right, Mike. Is Kappa Method Man on the mic? Is Kappa Method Man on the mic?
I mean, it's different.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Not
You know what?
are
I'll
we
tell you
doing?
this.
What are you
I'll tell you
doing?
this. I'll tell you this. I prefer Kappa over Inspector Deck. Yes, unpopular opinion. I prefer Kappa over Inspector Deck. Yeah.
Mike,
Period.
we're already not getting invited to the Rock Nation
Period.
brunch, but now I don't want to go with you at all. I don't want to go with
Period.
you at all. Like if I go, it's gonna be like, have you seen your boy Coop? No, he's over there talking to somebody else. I'm
Listen,
not going
man.
with you to the brunch if we do get invited.
Kappa is like Ghost, man. Like, I think the best combination.
Kappa is not like Ghost.
He
What are
is
you
like
saying?
Ghost. I think the best combination in Wu is when Kappa, Ray, and Ghost get together.
That's the purple tape doing that to you. That's the purple tape and Iron Man doing that to you.
No, I like.
And you
when,
might be
I
right,
love,
but Mike,
you know what? I
Mike,
love when Kappa
Mike,
and Ghost get
Mike, do you
together.
know how many guys you could put next to Ray and Ghost and they're gonna
Kappa slide through with the Ghost, post up like paint on walls, drip 2Ls, Bubble Goose. Come on, man. Ruffle aside the
Mike.
Bubble Goose. It's the odd couples.
Mike,
Hollow
if you-
Point,
Mike,
swallow you home, Staten
since
Island.
Mike, since you want to get technical, that's the weakest verse on there, and he comes in a little off beat. It takes him about 6 bars before he even gets on beat. But since you want to get technical about this shit,
They
you can put a
killing
lot
me
of
in the
dudes next
comments
to Ray
right
and
now.
Ghost, Mike.
You said what?
So you can put a lot of dudes next to Ray and Ghost. A
Y'all
lot.
killing me in the comments, man. Y'all acting like Winter War's verse wasn't crazy, man. Come on.
Winter
man.
Wars, Mike. We about to talk about Iron Man. Like this is what
And
I'm
I
saying.
ain't saying that. Listen, I ain't saying the Kappa's better than Inspector, but if you ask me, who I'd rather listen to as an individual, I'm listening to Kappa.
This is what I'm telling you. You'd rather listen to Kappa on Ray and Ghost albums. You ain't listening to Kappa over Inspector
I
Deck.
listened to the Pillage over what was it? What was
Uncontrolled Substance, Mike. And we're talking about outliers. Come on, it's ridiculous.
Where you got Uncontrolled? So you think Uncontrolled Substance is better than the Pillage?
I didn't say that.
Okay. Well, there we go.
I said
Case
Deck's
closed.
better than Kappa.
Case
And I'd rather
closed.
listen to Deck than Kappa. I'd rather go through my Wu-Tang shit and listen to Deck than Cap. As a matter of fact, we about to get into it. Can we
Well,
go
okay,
next?
look, we've talked about Wu-Tang Forever. We're about to talk about Wu-Tang Forever. The MVP on Wu-Tang Forever could possibly be Deck.
Deck and Ghost. Deck and Ghost are the co-MVPs. Little Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal action.
I think Method Man's in the conversation too, but I think
He's
when
in
it
third
comes
place,
to
bronze medal. He's
when
in
it
third
comes
place.
to Wu-Tang efforts, I think
third
we
place.
take him for granted.
No. In terms of overall Wu-Tang efforts, Method Man is the MVP actually, but like on Enter the Wu-Tang, he's the MVP actually. On Wu-Tang Forever, he's right after Deck and Ghost and a close third in that. On the W and Iron Flag, he's the MVP on those two. Ghost is the co-MVP probably on the W a little bit too. Just because when he does get on there, it's crazy.
Let's move on because we're on the W now. You got the W at 9. I'm not mad at that. I think I once have had the W at 9. I listened to the W the other day. Well, not the other day, yesterday. And I love Hollow Bones. I love Bang Bang. I love the jump off. Man, the W has some moments. And and Ghostface was fresh off of Supreme Clientele. Method Man was on his shit. I'm cool with the W being at 9. I got it at 8 though. I got it ahead of Only Built for Cuban Links 2. You have Only Built for Cuban Links a lot higher. But let's talk about the W though.
The W is their most underrated album of all the albums.
I want to talk about that. I agree.
In the Wu-Tang saga, this is the underrated album. Mike, this album's some Wu-Tang shit.
You know why this album's underrated though?
Mike, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the whole build-up from the album, and you have to understand what was going on at the time, and even with us going back listening to some of these albums, it kind of took me back to the time when they came out. Because I think you talked about it earlier, the fact that they were coming out with such heat consecutively, and the fact that Wu-Tang Forever was the last Wu-Tang album we had heard. And so, okay, boom, there's a standard there. And then Ghostface has dropped Supreme Clientele. These guys are individually getting better. Method Man's already done the Hard Knock Life tour. You got so much going. Raekwon was a heavy collaborator at the time. He had been on the Kumanai. He had been on Tash's record. And so
he did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the Pillage had happened. You had Killer Army stuff. You had the Killer Bees collaboration, the Sting.
Sons of Man, Killer Priest,
all this stuff was going on. So, and then MTV did that Cribs where they all went out to that Los Angeles crib and they got back together for the first time in a long time and they were making the W. So the standard and the momentum was there. And I think when it came out, I know one of my first reactions to it was I was expecting more songs since we had 9 members, right? Because at the time ODB was locked up and Capadonna was kind of taking that place, and so 13 songs in that era, I was taken aback. Like, okay, if we're doing 13 songs, this shit's gonna be perfect. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better than I gave it credit for when it first came out.
Mike, how would you rate this album?
This is an easy 4.
It's an easy 4. So, Mike, what I would submit
but back
to
in
you
the day, I would have said 3.5, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
But what I would tell you is that, Mike, it's an easy 4 and closer to 4.5 than you think. Mike, you talk about Hollow Bones. This is what I mean about it being some Wu-Tang shit. Careful, click, click, right before Hollow Bones.
Chamber music. Mike, Red Bull, let's look at the guest appearances on here. Mike, Red Bull with Redman. Can I interest you in Red Bull with Redman? Yeah, so you got Redman, Method Man, and Inspector Deck closing out the record. The production was there, too.
Production was there, Mike. Yeah. Mike, to me, the biggest problem with this album actually was that they tried to redo Protect Your Neck.
I actually like the jump off, but I agree with what you're saying.
I like the jump off. It's just not the original version.
Of course, nothing will be. Yeah.
But they're there, Mike. Let My Niggas Live with Nas. I Can't Go to Sleep. Ghost versed on there. Do your thing. Make Meth's hook. Mike, I keep trying to tell you, Mike, didn't Gravel Pit get played at that RZA DJ Premier Versus like I told you it was going to get played?
I didn't like Gravel Pit, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Mike,
the One
Mike, that
Blood.
Mike, that's low key one of that best verses. Holocaust from the land of the lost. Behold the pale horse, of course. Follow me, Wu-Tang gotta be the best thing since what? Since Starks and Clocks, Wallabies. Bzzz. Like no, that's
I
some
think
of that's
Method
best
Man was the
shit.
MVP of this album.
No, I told you he's
And-
the MVP of this album too,
yeah.
Mike. But and here's the beautiful thing about this album, and here's why it's sneaky great. Oh, it's only 13 songs like the first album. They're actually better when they're concise in this format. That's what they realized from everything that they went through. The W is them actually going back to basics of what they do as a group.
No, I agree. I think that the
MC
song.
Conditioner with Old Dirty Bastard and
I
Snoop
love that
Dogg. Like,
song.
we're never getting that again,
I
Mike.
love that song.
That's a moment.
Yeah, I love that song, and
This-
I love
this-
that song more now than I did back then. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Me too. Because
yeah.
when it came out, you're like, but when you listen to it now, it's like, damn, that's Old Dirty Bastard and Snoop
that's
vibing on a
Snoop.
record together.
That's Snoop in 2000. Like, everybody has like a era, right? Especially when you got guys who have longevity in the game. Like we were just talking about LL and his longevity. You know what era you're hearing a LL verse if you just hear like that blanket verse. Snoop Dogg has that time period from like, what was it, 99 to 2000 when he rapped a certain way and he never rapped that way again. Like the
Yeah.
Bitch Please Snoop,
Yeah.
that's the one
No,
you're
you're
getting
right.
on here. He
No, you're
never
right.
rapped like that again.
He got into like a little groove for about 2 or
Yeah.
3 years, Mike. You're right.
Yeah, that Chronic
Right.
2001, the Bitch
Right,
Please,
yep.
like he never
Bitch
rapped like that
Please,
again.
The Last Meal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's on
Mike,
that. Yeah.
One Blood Under Wu with Junior Reed.
I love that record.
Mike, listen to what every record that I'm saying. You're like, I love that record. I love that record. That's because this album's great.
I got it at number 8 on mine. You got it at 9.
And nobody talked about it being great. And you want to know why, Mike? Because it wasn't as good as Enter the Wu-Tang. It wasn't good as Wu-Tang Forever.
It wasn't.
It wasn't better than the Purple Tape. It wasn't. You had so much classic stuff from theirs to go off of by the time they dropped this record in 2000. So I want you to understand, in 7 years, they had dropped so much classic stuff that some people actually thought this album wasn't good.
Yeah, I
That's
think
how
that.
strong they were.
But
That's
let's
how strong
look
their rep
at it
was.
like this though. Let's look at it like this, Coop, and to be honest, and I know time has, been very kind to this album. But when you just see a track list and you're in Sam Goody or whatever in 2000 and you look on the back and you see Wu-Tang featuring Nas, what are your expectations of this record? And when you see Wu-Tang featuring Busta Rhymes, and we're talking about Busta Rhymes in 2000, who's rhyming,
Peak.
you're like,
Busta.
oh, this is going to be a classic record right here. And when you hear those two songs, they're good songs, but they're underwhelming based on, where you're at in that time period. You know what I'm saying?
So
And
this is
I
what
think
I'm
that's
saying,
what
though.
the W
It's
suffers
not that
from.
those songs aren't great. The stuff that they had made up to that point was all time great.
No,
like
you're
the
right.
last time you heard Nas on some Wu-Tang shit, it was verbal intercourse.
Exactly.
That's not a fair comparison.
It
What
ain't
kind of
fair.
comparison are you making?
It
What's
ain't fair,
wrong?
but it is what it is, man.
Man,
That's what
he
happens when
saying-
you get critical, man. When you have
what he
great,
say? Nas was talking about dope fiends with elephant hands.
I feel you, man. But if we're
The
sitting
only
here,
nigga Sade dated, like, no, he's on there. It's just not verbal intercourse. Verbal intercourse might be the best verse ever, Mike. It's
I
not a
feel you,
fair
man.
comparison. Enter the Wu-Tang is obvious. It might be the most innovative rap album ever. The Purple Tape might be the best rap album ever. It's an unfair comparison when this album came out. So you really couldn't appreciate this work properly. Because if you're telling me in 2000 you have a track that has Nas, Raekwon, and Inspector Deck on it, I'm going to tell you it's going to be great. And that song's great. It's just not as great as the stuff that they did before, because the stuff they did before was some of the best shit you ever heard.
Coop is really passionate about this debate, y'all. So I'm gonna
love
get some
Wu-Tang.
words. I'm gonna get some words in. We both love Wu-Tang, so we're gonna be going back and forth.
It's not fair. I love this album.
It's like comparing, the '96 Bulls team to maybe the '91 one, right? It's not fair to compare anything to that '96 Bulls team, but when you have the same personnel and the same personnel's coming back together 3 years later, let's say the '98 team, you're going to hold them to similar standards. It's just natural. And it's unfair, but it's just natural. But speaking of which, and I want to go into this album, because you had it very high. I had it at 9. Only Built for Cuban Links 2. I'm against sequels.
How high did I have it? I
You
had it
got
at
it at
7.
7.
Yeah.
I think that's high for something that came out in the 2010s, nearly. And we're talking. Look at when all the other ones came out.
Have you heard the album?
Yeah, it's pretty dope. I got it at 9 though. I think the Wu
House
Tang.
of
I
Flying
think.
Daggers,
Yeah, I love House of Flying Daggers. I love 10 Bricks.
Broken Safety, 10 Bricks,
Insane.
Catalina.
I give it a lot of points for the fact that it was able to follow up the album that got number 1 on my list.
Dr. Dre, Busta Rhymes, and Raekwon.
And Jay Dilla. Jay Dilla, after his passing,
Jay
dropped some
Dilla,
of the
thoughts
most.
on there, Mike? Masters of
Yeah, he dropped some of the most impressive shit on there.
Right. It's got some of everything on there.
New
you know what
Wu.
I like? Like in Ray's in his bag too. You want to know why I like it? It's because he's in his bag doing all types of different stuff, like Pyrex Visions. Like when he's just flowing in that low mumble with the gravel voice and stuff, like he's doing stuff on there. I love the Purple Tape too. Yeah, I got it at 7.
Well, you got it above the Return to 36 Chambers. I think that's where I disagree.
Okay, so I think that the records are put together better on the Purple Tape 2 than Return to the 36 Chambers, and that's the only separation to me. Because I feel like the high moments on Return to the 36 Chambers are better, but not put together as well. Like, you're not going to tell me that, yeah, he got 2 Dre beats on there, and he smashed both of them.
So you're giving that credence in that situation, but not Capadonna in the Takao situation. Okay.
No, it's way better put together. It's way better put together, Mike.
You think
it's way
so?
better.
I think that the 30s,
No. Like
Dirty's
here's the thing. Here's what you're gonna get with an Old Dirty Bastard album, Mike. You're gonna get Old Dirty Bastard ranting and raving a lot. So it's gonna be a little disheveled. You know what I'm saying? It's brilliant though. Like the highs are high. Hippa to the Hopper, Rawhide, Brooklyn Zoo, Baby Come On.
Listen,
Mike,
I'm gonna tell you like you told
Mike,
me.
you want to know what, Mike? Now that I'm listening to those records out of my head, you might have a point.
I was just about to say, I'm gonna tell you like you told me with the Supreme Clientele and Into the 36. It ain't no Brooklyn Zoo on Only Built for Cuban Links 2.
You want to know what, Mike? I'm gonna call it live. You're right. I might need to flip those.
Yeah, it ain't no Brooklyn Zoo. It ain't no Shimmy Shimmy. It's not.
Ain't no Baby Come On, Hippa to the Hopper, Rawhide. Like those records alone are probably better than almost all the records on the Purple Tape too.
I love that album though. Again, I'm partial to that record. You know what? One of my favorite songs on there is Don't You Know.
I like Snakes.
Snakes is crazy too. Yeah, the Protect Your Neck to 2, the Zoo. Those guys were spazzing on there.
Jizza wrote a lot of that shit.
Yeah, man. Incredible. Oh, yeah. The song with Jizza, Damage, is hard. Damage is hard.
That's all Jizza.
Because, again, man, when you talk about Old Dirty's debut album, I ain't never heard nothing like it, man. And I haven't heard nothing like it since.
I haven't heard anything like Brooklyn Zoo since Brooklyn Zoo came out, Mike. I told you, it's still the best solo rap record to come out of that crew.
Wow.
Brooklyn Zoo is the best rap record to come out of that crew as a solo. Like, if we're just going song for song, I know, like, I'll Be There For You is a bigger song. Bring the Pain and Incarcerated Scarfaces and All That I Got Is You are comparable. But Brooklyn Zoo, yeah, Mike, Brooklyn Zoo is the best solo performance by a Wu-Tang artist on the mic. You can't fuck with Brooklyn Zoo. Can't nobody fuck with Brooklyn Zoo.
Listen,
he got you on style alone, Mike, and he's actually rhyming. Like, he got you on style off rip, and he's rhyming.
I'm not mad at that. Hold on. Let me think about this, because I think some of the strongest solo records with nobody on them, because we're not going to count Ice Cream. That's kind of a posse cut, right? I would say Incarcerated Scarfaces in no particular order. Bring the Pain, Brooklyn Zoo. I think Shimmy Shimmy's in that conversation too.
I mean, Mike, for me, it goes Brooklyn Zoo, Bring the Pain, Incarcerated Scarfaces, All That I Got Is You, and Shimmy Shimmy Ya.
Rawhide is crazy, man.
Rawhide is crazy, Mike. Like, I heard once that was a freestyle.
Yeah, I heard that. You know, Method Man's verse on there is sick, man. Yeah.
Coming soon to a theater near you would be the Wu. Right?
I even like the stomp. Yeah. Like, this thing hits you.
I like Ray verse on there, actually.
This shit hits you straight up. Like, it's like Shimmy Shimmy, then Baby Come On, then Brooklyn Zoo, then Hip It to the Hopper, then Rawhide, then Damage, then Don't You Know, then The Stump. And it's like, damn.
The Stomp is the shit, Mike. The Stomp. You're right, Mike. That's better than the Purple Tape too. I was wrong.
I was gonna say this, man, and you know me, I'm a Ghostface guy. My biggest debate, and because I put Iron Man at 6 and Return to 36 at 7. My biggest thing was, man, I personally like Old Dirty's album better than I like Iron Man, but I think on paper it's hard for me to put it ahead of it. But if you Mike, if you put both of those albums right there and you tell me which one should I listen to first, or which one I'm going to listen to first, I'm listening to Dirty's joint first.
Mike, I totally don't agree. I have Iron Man up high. Actually, I was surprised because I knew we were about to have the Liquid Swords, probably Supreme Clientele separation, but I was surprised where you put Iron Man, actually, because I have Iron Man higher than you, and you're a bigger Ghost fan than I am, and not too many people can say that to me.
One thing I will say about Iron Man, I feel like Raekwon was a better rapper at the time than Ghost was.
He was. Give me 2 seconds, Mike. I got to go catch the door right quick.
No, do your thing. What do y'all think in there, man? Do y'all think in the room that Iron Man's better than Wu-Tang Forever? Because we're about to really get into this part of it, because this is the top 5. What is your favorite Wu-Tang album? What is your top 5 Wu-Tang albums? And like, whose list do you agree with a little bit more than the other? Let me get some of these comments too. Donna Lee says that last comment be true about taking meth for granted. I might fall in that. People have been killing meth off of. I'm sorry. People have been killing me for my meth hate. Gotcha. Yeah. I think that we've been unfair to meth throughout his career, and he's been having to deal with the comparisons within his own group. And I think that Tikal being first was a gift and a curse, because everybody was waiting for Method Man as a solo MC because of the Method Man song and how big it was. But I think they rushed his project, and everything that came after that, he's been having to live up to that unfairly. Jacob 6 says Iron Man is better than Wu-Tang Forever. Well, that's what Coop got on his list. I think Wu-Tang Forever is just super lyrical. We're going to get into that comparison. One of the things with Wu-Tang Forever is the fact it's a double disc. And it suffered from the fact that some of those records that were on there might not have should have been on there. And, you know, we deal with that in double disc period. But we did a show a couple of months back where we actually made Wu-Tang Forever one disc. We took the best, 14, 15 songs, and we made it one disc. 15. So Jacob 6 said Iron Man is better than Wu-Tang Forever.
I have Iron Man ahead of Wu-Tang Forever by one slot. I agree.
Why do you think that Iron Man is better than Wu-Tang Forever? I'll make my case for Wu-Tang Forever, but go ahead. I want to hear yours.
Okay, so the beats are better. That's the first thing that you need to realize. Iron Man is actually the most eclectic beat selection from RZA's catalog. It's actually RZA has already mastered the Wu-Tang thing and has learned how to incorporate like the soul samples, Mike. This is where the soul sampling stuff like really starts. Before they're sampling different stuff, this is where RZA's sampling game changes. And so the beat structure is more eclectic. It's more surprising. It's more off kilter, but in more of a funky way than in a deep, dark, and eerie way. Like I told you, Iron Maiden, to start off the Iron Man, that's one of RZA's best beats. That's one of the best Wu-Tang tracks. That's where I want to hear Capadonna. Capadonna on Iron Man is amazing. Raekwon on Iron Man, amazing. Ghost on Iron Man, amazing. The Wu members, amazing. There's Wu-Tang shit on there. There's Ghostface shit on there. There's Purple Tape shit on there. It's a beautiful, beautiful project.
You might have sold me. Because just how I sold you on the Old Dirty thing, man. You might have sold me.
No, you were right about Old Dirty. I started thinking about those first 7, 8 songs, and I was like, yeah, the Purple Tape. I was like, no, I was wrong.
You know, my thing for Wu-Tang Forever, and I think what's blaring with Wu-Tang Forever for me, is the fact that all of them are at their best individually as MCs in that moment in 1997 as a collective.
That's the problem.
Man, as incredible as Method Man was on the first one, he got that much better and he was there in '97 at the top of his abilities.
No, that's the problem, Mike. That's
Yeah.
what I'm telling you. The problem actually in 1997 with Wu-Tang Forever is these guys have become too great to fit in one room or one tracks to get the same effect and feeling of the first album. Because by 1997, all of these guys are top-notch great. Method Man, Raekwon, Ghostface, Inspector Deck, Jizza, Old Dirty Bastard had he really been there. All of these guys are not just like they're not
Dirty wasn't
D-list
there?
MCs. Huh?
Old Dirty wasn't there?
Not really. I mean, he's on Reunited and he's on Dog Shit and that's it. But when he's there, he's epic.
No, I think he was more on, he was on Maria. Like, I feel like he was
right.
a part
He was
of the
there
album.
a little
Yeah.
bit, but that's what I'm
He
saying.
was a
So,
big
Mike, you
part
got
of the
six.
album.
You got six AMCs.
And you know what? I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to go backwards, but that was one of the big things about the W for me. Old Dirty was missing, and it was clear. And you know what I'm saying? Like, Old Dirty's kind of like one of those members. Not only is he a contributing member, but he's like the spirit of the group. And it felt like something big was missing. Just his big spirit was missing on the W.
Mike, the antics, the entertainment, what you hear on Dog Shit, what you hear on Shame on a Nigga, what you hear on Chess Boxing, that's missing.
Yeah. But yeah, Wu-Tang Forever for me was a really, really strong effort because it was the fact that all of these guys are at the apex of their skills. And I know we were talking about top groups of all time a couple episodes ago. And
they're too skilled, Mike.
There's no group in the history of hip hop that you could sit there and say matches up with those 10 guys that were on Wu-Tang Forever in '97. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me and why I hold that album so high, because you could be listening to some records that you normally don't listen to on there and be like, yo, this is an incredible verse. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's so many dope verses in that album that are just tucked away because everybody in the group is so strong.
Mike, you could go get your 10 greatest MCs and tell them they can pick 2 songs and then go get Wu-Tang, do a verses, and every member gets to pick 2 songs and it's a fair fight. That's how great they are.
It's insane, man. And you know what? I know somebody said one time, like, if you put Wu-Tang, like, in the southern region, like, who's the top 5 MCs in the South or something. But you could do that for any borough of New York. Like, you put these,
Mike, these dudes anywhere, they shaking everything up.
Everything. You can put them in California. You can put them in Texas. You can put them in New York.
Put them in Canada, Antarctica, France.
No, it's insane. Because
the
again,
Philippines,
for me,
Trinidad and Tobago.
With Wu-Tang Forever, I'm thinking Triumph, right? I'm thinking Impossible. I'm thinking Heaters. I'm thinking Bells of War. I'm thinking MGM. I'm thinking Dog Shit. I'm thinking, it's just so much. Hell's Wednesday.
It's so much because they're so great and so big, like there's not enough room for them in a room. They had gotten to the point that they were all so great that their project sounds better when it's concise down to a solo artist album with contributions. Because the albums that came before Wu-Tang Forever, in my opinion, just come off better, specifically the Purple Tape, Liquid Swords, Iron Man, in that order. And we can say Return to the 36 Chambers to a degree, because I consider that album, I considered Wu-Tang Forever, the Purple Tape 2, and Return to the 36 Chambers to all be kind of comparable or in the same realm of how I had them rated.
Wu-Tang Forever is just tough to judge all around. And I think that I probably gave it a little bit more props than, some of the efforts because they actually did it. You know what I'm saying? They actually were able to make this album in '97 when everybody was at the peak of their talents, and they actually were able to come away with some very incredible records in that time period. Because, like you said, that's difficult to do. Now, you want to talk about a degree of difficulty. Getting 10 MCs that have their own individual things going on and who have elevated their own individual skill sets to this point to come together and finances to come together and make this album. I got to give Raekwon some props too when it comes to his role in Wu-Tang Forever. He always felt like the glue guy to me. Like, he's everywhere. He's on like damn near every song.
when I heard Immobilarity, I felt like maybe he gave too much of himself to Iron Man and to Wu-Tang Forever.
Mm. I never thought of it like that, but you might be right. Yeah, Heaven's
Hmm.
Sake, Reunited, Cash Still Rules, Visions, as high
No,
as
it's
Wu Tang
there. I don't
gets,
consider it. Can we
Older
talk about Iron
Gods.
Man right quick?
Let's talk about Iron Man.
This is the most underrated classic in the catalog to me. It's strikingly great. There's not a bad song on here. It plays all the way through. It's not as good as the Purple Tape or Liquid Swords. The songs are not as great, but they're damn close, Mike.
You got
Iron
Iron
Maiden,
Man at six.
Fish,
You got
Box in
Iron Man at
Hand,
5.
huh?
You got Iron Man at 5. I got Iron
I
Man
got
at
Iron Man
6.
at 5. Mike,
Okay.
I still, if I'm not mistaken, I still know the order. It goes Iron Maiden, Wildflower, Faster Blade, Assassination Day. No, I'm sorry, 260, Assassination Day, Poisonous Darts, Winter Wars, Box in Hand, Fish, Camé, Daytona 500.
Yeah, Box in
Yeah.
Hand. You know what? You won me
Yeah, that
over.
Meth verse
I'm
on
putting
Box in
this.
Hand, Meth verse on Box in Hand is crazy. His
Yeah,
delivery on there is
it
bananas.
is. You know what? You won me over, man. I'm putting Iron
Marvel,
Man.
after the smoke is
Yeah,
clear,
yeah. Yeah, I think you won me over, man. I'm putting Iron Man above Wu Tang Forever.
it's
I'm
better, Mike.
tripping.
It's
I'm
better. It's
tripping.
beginning to end strong.
All right,
This
well,
is
this is
the
the one what you said we were going to have a debate about because our top two are the same. Liquid Swords or Supreme Clientele? I got Supreme Clientele at 3. You got Liquid Swords at 3. I got Liquid Swords at 4. You got Supreme Clientele at 4. Um,
so Mike.
Go ahead. I'll let you start off.
Supreme Clientele is Ghost's best lyrical performance and one of the best lyrical performances in hip hop history, isn't it?
Yes, to me it is. I never heard. I haven't heard a lot of things like it. It's one of those rare zones.
What if I told you that I feel the same way about Liquid Swords, except the execution level is actually slightly better, and it's because of the Wu-Tang shit?
I would think
Right.
that's more of a style choice.
No, I don't know if it's a style choice. I think it's actually a song choice because when you put these albums side by side, I find them to be strikingly comparable in terms of how great the songs are, except for one thing. The Clan comes off better on Liquid Swords, and Jizza is lyrically in a place on an album. And here's what I mean lyrically about Liquid Swords. That album lyrically from Jizza as an MC, only Nas or Rakim can probably write those rhymes, Mike. That detailed on that level. It's that high a level of lyricism. It's probably the finest lyrical performance from an MC that I've heard lyrically on one project outside of Nas's first 2 albums and Rakim's first 2 albums. That's how high lyrically the Jizza is on Liquid Swords. And he got the bars to prove it. And the Wu-Tang songs on there, Mike, like all the Wu-Tang songs on there would make their greatest hits. Duel of the Iron Mike, Fourth Chamber, Shadowboxing, Investigative Reports. Mike, those are Enter the Wu-Tang level records, if not better.
The Purple Tape came out before Liquid Swords, right?
Right before.
Right
like
before.
4 months before.
Even with that being said, I will say this about Liquid Swords. I think that based on what solo efforts came out before it, this had to be more challenging because everything was it was a different energy, right? Like Jizza's been a lot, he's always been like the member of the Wu that's a lot more cerebral and, who it wasn't about like super hyped energy. You're not going to have like an ice cream on there. You're not going to have like an incarcerated Scarfaces on there. He's going to sit back and you're going to sit here and have to analyze what's going on and what's being said. So on a production level, this had to take RZA in a whole different chamber. And that's one of the things I really loved about the Wu-Tang solo efforts too, where it was like you had Method Man and Old Dirty in a similar chamber, right? Sonically. You had Ghost and Ray doing what they're doing sonically in a different chamber. Shit, RZA was doing something different, like, with Tragedy and things like that. And then Jizza was kind of sitting on this island alone, like you said, kind of like on some Rakim shit. And this came across super impressive in the way that it was supposed to come across.
So let me tell you what's beautiful about this album. you can see the respect that the rest of the clan has for GZA
Definitely.
as a lyricist on this album, because Mike, the Purple Tape is the showcase. Liquid Swords is the validity to what they did on the Purple Tape. Like, this is not a fluke. How these guys rhyme, what these guys do, it's at a high level. So here's what I'll tell you, Mike. Deck's best guest verse on a Wu-Tang album is the verse on Guillotine from the Purple Tape.
Yes.
But Mike, his second best guest verse is on Duel of the Iron Mike.
That's what I do like about those two albums. Everybody came with their A game. And honestly, arguably, Method Man's best feature comes.
No, we about to get to it. No, we about to run down all the clan members on there, because on Duel of the Iron Mike, you got Old Dirty Bastard on a hook anywhere on any other Wu-Tang solo album?
No, that's real.
That's Duel of the Iron Mike. Master Killer's best verse is Glaciers of Ice. Guess what his second best verse is, Mike? We on the same record. It's on Duel of the Iron Mike. They're still in that zone. It's almost at the same high level that the Purple Tape is. I have the Purple Tape as the third greatest rap album ever. Liquid Swords isn't far behind. Mike, Ghostface Coming Out Party is on Fourth Chamber.
It is. Shit,
Best Ghostface Coming Out Party is on Fourth Chamber, Mike.
RZA's Coming Out Party, Mike.
Coming Out Party. Mike, stop taking the words out of my mouth.
Well, I was going to say,
party.
I don't know, because he did his thing on the Purple
verse,
Tape,
Mike.
too.
That's RZA's best verse on a Wu-Tang project.
Yeah.
The ending with the acronym, protons, electrons, always cause explosions. Like, yeah.
I love that record, man. And you're right. The beat on Fourth Chamber.
Crazy. Mike, that's off Enter the Wu-Tang. You could put Fourth Chamber on Enter the Wu-Tang and not miss a step.
I wish it was on Enter the Wu-Tang.
Mike, let's go ahead and go to it right quick. Mike, Shadowboxing. Shadowboxing is lyrically one of the best performances of all time, period. Verse after verse. Meth's 2 verses and GZA's verse. People forget GZA's verse because Meth's so all-time great. GZA's spazzed on there. I slayed MCs back in the Rec Room era. My style broke motherfucking backs like him for terror. Most rap niggas came loud but unheard. Once they fall out, round them off to the nearest third. Check these non-visual niggas with tapes in a portrait. Flood the seminar trying to orbit this corporate industry. For what them niggas can't see must break through like the Wu unexpectedly. Protect your neck, my sword still remains imperial. Before I blast the mic, RZA scratch off the cereal. We rain all day from June to June, while niggas bite immediately, if not soon. Set the lynching and form the execution date as it's 2000 and beyond. Slank suffocate, amplified sample from vacuum tubes, compression cause RZA. They charge niggas 20 G's a session.
My mind started clicking.
Mike, that's the third best verse on that song.
That's crazy.
That's the third best verse on that song, Mike. That's rap verse of the year type shit.
It is. That's a quotable, straight up. Midget Mike said Method Man got a quotable on that. He did.
Yeah,
what was
Mike,
it? The first verse or the second
verse? My whole grown-up hashtag is "You Know My Steez." It comes from that verse. You know my Steez. The one Gangstar made a song out of.
Yeah, Burning to the Third Degree. Sneaky ass, Alley Cat, Top Pedigree, The Head Toucher. Which verse was it that got the quotable? Was it the last one?
The first verse. No, the first verse is the one. I breaks it down to the bone gristle. Nobody had ever talked like that before, Mike. I breaks it down to the bone gristle, ill-speaking scud missile, heat sinking, Johnny blazing,
nightmares like Wes Craven, niggas gunning. My third eye seen it coming before it happened.
Mike, and that's where he switched his flow. You know about them fucking statin kids, they smashing everything, in every shape, form, or fashion.
Everybody talking about they blasting. Is you busting Stella? Is you flashing? Talking out your asshole. You should have heard about the flowing PC Afro, the Italian Stallion, Chinky Eye Snot Nose. From my naps to the bunion on my big toe. Keeps it moving. Notice what the fuck I'm doing. Rap insomniac, meaning to catch a nigga snoozing. Slip the cardiac, arrest me. Exorcist, hip-hop, possess me. Crunch a nigga like the nest.
Mike, he's got 4 or 5 different styles on that one verse. It's crazy.
Man,
nobody ever rapped like that.
That is why Tikal and Tikal 2000 is underwhelming. Unfortunately, I love
it's a year, Mike, this is literally a year after Tikal came out. He's much better too.
Oh yeah,
you hear him, Mike. The Purple Tape, Mike. The Purple Tape and Liquid Swords. And I wanted to talk about this briefly. And let's go here for Method Man, because Method Man is doing the back and forth and the ad libs on Living in the World Today. The Purple Tape and Liquid Swords are not what they are without Method Man.
Nah, man. Method Man is, again, I think he is
He's
an unsung hero in the Wu. I mean, it's
He's
obvious.
the guest star MVP of both of those albums. Those are two of the greatest rap albums ever, and the guest star MVP on both of those albums is actually Meth. Even over Nas on the Purple Tape, because even though that verse is better, he gave us 2 hooks and a verse on the Purple Tape, and it was all epic.
He gave us the ice cream hook, so yeah.
He gave us ice cream.
Yeah.
The Wu Gambino's hook too, Mike, and the verse on Wu Gambino's to set it off. He set that whole song off.
The Wu Gambino's verse is the truth, man.
Wu Gambino's is one of the best Wu-Tang songs ever, Mike. That's some Enter the Wu-Tang shit.
Yeah, man. Let's do this Method Man and Busta Rhymes things. Niggas want to talk shit, man. This guy, all these classic Wu efforts, and it's unfortunate that he wasn't the recipient, personally for his solo catalog. But yeah, you're right. He's kind of the glue of all of these Wu-Tang solo efforts.
Mike, Rawhide on Return to the 36 Chambers. He's there. I think
Old Dirty was the only one who didn't need him in that capacity because Old Dirty was flashy enough. But the rest of those guys needed a little bit of Method Man on their project.
No, like Living in the World Today is not the same with that back and forth with Meth on the hook. Well, what you know about him seeing? Yo, I know a lot. Well, can you tell me straight something, nigga? I'd rather not. You talking about stacks, because, nigga, that's what I got. Cash rules abroad, and cash rules the spot. Yeah, well, that shit important.
I want to get back to this whole Supreme Clientele and Liquid Swords thing. I mean, because there's not a lot of selling.
I'm not done yet, because this is how great Liquid Swords is, because we're not done with the Wu-Tang shit yet, Mike.
Go for it.
You God's best performance outside of Knuckleheads on the Purple Tape is, guess what? His hook on Investigative Reports on Liquid Swords. Mike, Ray and Ghost on Investigative Reports. Killer Priest on Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth, Mike. And that's not to bring up the most unheralded part of this album, Mike, which is one of RZA's best beats and one of the best stories of all time, which is Killer Hills 10304, Mike. It's one of the best rap stories ever. Mike, when you talk about detail-oriented rap stories, only Nas can write that story outside of GZA. That's how detail-oriented that is. And he talks about the game from the highest level. Like, he broke that shit all the way down. He started from the street with the story and took you all the way to the top of the drug game with the story. So he actually like literally wrote it, the climax, you and take you through the stages of the ladder.
Listen, I love Liquid Swords, and I want to be clear. I think Liquid Swords is one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever made. Top 20 easily, to me. And that's without even thinking it might be higher than that.
So, Mike, you just took one of my thoughts away. Their top 4 albums are 4 of the 20 greatest rap albums ever to me, because Supreme Clientele is a top 20 rap album to me, too. I just have it slightly behind Liquid Swords. It would be like putting one at 16 and putting one at 19.
If you ask me what's the best hip-hop album of the 2000s, I think that I would say Supreme Clientele. Supreme Clientele came out.
I don't know if I would argue with you, Mike. I mean, maybe Hit Rich or Die Trying comes to mind.
It's better than that. Supreme Clientele came out February.
Song for song, it probably is, Mike. Because here's the thing that I noticed too. Because I lined up Supreme Clientele and Liquid Swords, because Liquid Swords is straight 13 tracks, no filler, which is part of why I love it. No skits. But you take the skits out of Supreme Clientele, it's 15 songs, and all 15 songs are stupid.
But I like all the skits too. I think that was another thing. Like, during the time period when people did a lot of skits. The only skit I didn't love was the Clyde Smith skit, but I get that. I understand.
I didn't like the Who Would You Fuck skit. They could have skipped that.
I think it was going along with the theme.
There's context to the Child's Play song. I get it. They could have framed it different.
Yeah. It was going along with that theme, and I love that. So with Child's Play coming next, that was perfect. I love the Woodrow skit. You know what I'm saying? I don't love it. You didn't like the Woodrow skit?
I don't love the skits on Supreme Clientele. It's actually my biggest problem with it. When you line it up song for song, it's hard to find 15 better records than what's on Supreme Clientele.
The Woodrow skits,
there aren't too many albums with 15 songs on them better than Supreme Clientele.
I feel like we're gonna get into the songs in a second, and just the lyrical, how amazing.
It's not lyrically better than GZA though, and that was my separating point though. Picture bloodbaths and elevator shafts.
Ooh, I don't know, man.
Square veterans mark the lettering. Slow moving MCs is waiting for the editing. A liquid soluble that could burn down the chemistry. I'm sorry, a liquid soluble that made up the ministry, a gaseous element that burnt down your ministry. Herbal vapors and biblical paper smoking exodus. Yeah, he's
I don't
somewhere else,
know,
Mike.
man.
No,
You know,
I love Ghost. He's not fucking with Jizz on Liquid Swords
crash through,
though.
break the glass. Tony with the Goldie mask. That's the pass. Heavy ice.
Mike,
Rolly laying on the grass. Come on, man.
no,
It's the
Mike,
way that he
labels,
built.
Mike. Tommy ain't my motherfucking boy. When you fake moves on a nigga you employ, Mike, you put the whole label game together.
No,
Like,
I hear
no,
you.
like
I
Mike,
hear
it's not.
you. But when
He's
you're
not.
talking about like building, and I know you brought up Rakim's name. The only time I've ever heard anybody really building from lyric to lyric and you break things down is how Ghost is rapping on Supreme Clientele.
No, Mike, Jizz is doing the same thing on Liquid Swords. He's just doing it on a more lyrical level. Ghost is doing on. It's like this. It's like you got a painter who paints in the classic way, and then you have a painter who paints in the abstract way. And Liquid Swords and Supreme Clientele is really about which stroke you prefer of the brush.
I mean, Ghost is clearly more abstract.
Right, and Jizz is clearly more rooted in the fundamentals of hip hop and MCing.
Both hands crusty, chilling with my man Rusty, low down, blew off the burner, kind of dusty. The world can't touch Ghost. Purple tape, Ray Coho. Come on, man, like it's so much in there. Like
Mike, restaurants on a stakeout. Restaurants at the steakhouse, so order the food to takehouse. Chaos outside the Spark Steakhouse. Maintain the power. I feel the deal's gone sour. Nigga missed the wedding. Late a fucking half hour. And this man who bought land from Tony Starks while we is contracting bricks, laying jobs in city parks. He's a loan shark. Come on, man.
I feel you, but Ghost.
Come on, he's building. Isn't that building the rhyme?
He's building, man, but Ghost took that thing to the next level, man. Like, you listen to things for, like, We Made It. When he came through on We Made It.
I love We Made It. We Made It might be my favorite record on Supreme Clientele.
Yo,
that's one of my top 3 records on Supreme Clientele. Mike, you want to know what? I hate to fight you like this, but I'm going to bring up the singles on Liquid Swords versus Supreme Clientele because I figured you were going to do this. So the singles on Supreme Clientele were Apollo Kids and Shay Shayla Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I got Liquid Swords, Cold World, and Fourth Chamber Shadow Boxing. No, Mike.
Shay Shayla Ghost is a bigger record than all of those.
It's bigger. It's not better than any of those Jizza records I just named, though, and you know it.
It's not.
And Apollo Kids isn't either.
I like Apollo.
Actually, Mike,
and it's
Mike,
interesting because I think, to me...
Can I talk about something right quick, Mike?
I
don't love Apollo Kids like that.
What's that?
I don't love Apollo Kids like
that. I was just
about
to say, I think those are 2 of the weaker records on this album. I'm not going to say I don't love it like that, but, you know.
In relationship to the rest of I was actually thinking in relationship to the Ray and Ghost collaborations, this one has the least chemistry to me. I feel like they hadn't been recording together for a while when I heard it.
Jordan jumped up like Clyde Drexler, all up in the parrot, nose numb, real as they come, Biggie's Versace, Snow White Rabbit, Hanson's like photographic magic, funeral love, moving when we hug, don't make it a habit. Hit the gym for 2 weeks, my back all chiseled. Elbows unique now, meet the new me. Who says that? You know, we just say, you know what, I'm going to work out, man.
Mike, I
hit
be
the gym for 2
swords,
weeks, my back all chiseled.
Mike,
come
I
on,
be
man.
swinging swords strictly based on keyboards, unbalanced like elephants and ants on seesaws. I throw raps that attack like the Japs, like Pearl Harbor. MCs be out like bank robbers.
I still got Ghost on. I'm sorry, man. And I love Jizza on Liquid Swords. I hate to fight you on this.
Mike,
that's why I'm pausing, man, because I hate
Mike,
to fight you on this. But
I just said unbalanced like elephants and ants on seesaws. Ghosts don't have nothing like that on Supreme Clientele. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on now.
No, he don't. Not lyrically precise and metaphorically precise at the same time while painting a picture. No, he don't. That's Jizza on Liquid Swords. Like, no knock to Ghost, he just not Jizza on Liquid Swords.
I don't know, man. I disagree with you on that.
I don't think that's why we're gonna argue.
I don't think that's where the separation is. I think.
Okay, so Mike, I want you to name a record off. I want you to name your 5 best records on Supreme Clientele because I knew you were going to do this.
Man, they change all the time. Off the top,
you can go 7 best records if you want, Mike. You can go 9 best records if you want. It's not going to matter.
We can go more than that. We can go 10 best records.
Let's go 10 best records. Let's do it.
10 best records on Supreme Clientele.
No. And I want you to rate them in order how you have them. Mm-hmm. Like, I want you to rate what you think
the 10
best records.
You were prepared for this debate. I wasn't.
Oh, yeah. I wrote this down because I knew you were going to do this. So I came prepared.
Oh, God. See, You were prepared for this. Let me go ahead and go to the track list right now.
Mike, Wu Banger 101 is weaker than all the Wu-Tang Posse cuts I just named on Liquid Swords.
But you know what's interesting you say that, because I think that as strong as I think Supreme Clientele is, that wasn't as strong as Point, the Wu stuff. I think Supreme Clientele is different in the sense where a lot of those Wu-Tang albums that we have listed have strength in the fact that they had Wu involvement. This one actually had everybody in the clan on there, but it didn't feel like it. And it was like, it was strong because this individual kind of jumped out and showed you he's the best guy in the crew.
I mean, One and We Made It are probably my favorite songs on Supreme Clientele. That's some Ghostface shit. That's not some Wu-Tang shit. So.
I think Ghost was the first Wu-Tang. Is it fair to say, as a solo artist, Ghost might have been the first Wu-Tang member to actually have an individual identity outside of Wu-Tang? Where it's like, you could hear a track and be like, yeah, that's a Ghostface beat.
No, so I want to speak to something, and because I know we're going to end up talking about, but let's go to this right quick. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this now. No, I'm going to wait.
I'm writing down my songs. Go ahead and talk what you got to talk.
No, this isn't necessarily true. Part of why the Purple Tape is so important, Mike, is because, and this is going to seem funny, Wu-Tang had street credibility, has rappers and MCs, not has necessarily street dudes. The Purple Tape changed that with Ray and Ghost. People don't understand. Enter the Wu-Tang doesn't have a lot of street or drug dealing rhetoric on it. It's almost non-existent. Outside of Can It Be All So Simple with Ray and Ghost. To Cal, none of that. Return to the 36 Chambers, none of that. The street talk doesn't start till Ghost and Ray on the Purple Tape. So he identified himself on the Purple Tape with Ray and Ghost. And I'm going to tell a story in a minute about like how big they were lyrically to people, because a lot of people immediately didn't take to the Purple Tape. It took a couple listens because it was so different even from what it came before. Because To Cal and Return to the 36 Chambers sound like some Wu-Tang shit. It sounds like an extension of Enter the Wu-Tang. The Purple Tape doesn't sound like that.
And neither
Purple
does
Tape sounds like the growth and development of what happened on Enter the Wu-Tang, not an extension. And so the first take on the Purple Tape wasn't as epic as people thought. But yeah.
Okay, well, I got my songs, man.
Go ahead, go. Start at number one.
It's got to be in the order, right? I'm going Mighty Healthy number one.
What's Mighty Healthy number one?
Yeah, I got Mighty Healthy.
Yep, Fourth Chamber, Mike. Say goodnight.
Fourth Chamber better than Mighty Healthy?
Yes, it is. You know it is.
It's not as cut and dry as
Mike, the fact that Ghost is having this conversation against Fourth Chamber tells you how great Mighty Healthy is, but it's not better. Keep going, though.
We made it.
That's great, Mike. Shadowboxing. I knew you were going to do that. I had Fourth Chamber and Shadowboxing waiting for you. Okay. You're done with your first two records.
What about one?
That's the problem.
I still got more.
No. You have more. So for one, I would probably hit you with Living in the World Today.
I got one on that.
I would tell you.
And those are very totally different records, man.
Everything Ghost does is different, so it's hard to compare shit to Ghost shit. But I would say Living in the World Today.
No. No.
I mean, I would give that a tie, but I'll let the people decide that.
But if you want to go in that lane and in that chamber, I would go with like Malcolm or something, you know?
No, one for me, one is Ghost's best lyrical performance on Supreme Clientele as a solo artist, and for me, Living in the World Today is just his best solo performance.
Darren Jennings says Mighty Healthy is better. I agree with Darren.
Yeah, Darren's only one person, and we won't be agreeing with Darren. Mike, nobody really thinks Mighty Healthy is better than Fourth Chamber. Like, not in the whole of the sum of things. Like, I can't believe that, actually.
Fourth Chamber's tough. But I do believe one is better than Living in the World Today.
I can give you one. I love one, but I still think Living in the World Today is still comparable. Go ahead.
Well, since you got those out the way, I'm going $150.
That's fine. You can go $150, Mike, because Duel of the Iron Mike's better than $150.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's lyrically and beat-wise better.
It's not.
You got the Old Dirty Bastard on your hook?
No, come on, man.
Okay.
Come on, man. Now,
No,
the
Duel
way
of the Iron
Method
Mike's
Man
a better
set that
record.
off,
The
I got
thugs kill for
Redman on the
drugs, plus
joint.
the young bucks bust, ducking handcuffs, throats get
No.
cut, window rush.
That one I'm not
Out of
giving
town
you.
foes look shook but still pose. We move like real pros through the streets we stroll. Bullet holes laced with windows and 160s. So control the avenues, that's the dream that's old.
Nah,
No,
man,
dude.
that's not
No,
it. I'm
no.
sorry.
Deck
That's not
and
what it is.
Jizza are better lyrically than everybody on Buck 50, including Ghost with his supercalifragilistic, all that shit that you keep talking that you think is better than what it is, Mike.
The words you talk better be the words you walk. Body you in the bed.
That's the best verse. That's the best verse,
Oh,
but it's not
man.
better.
Put your hand
Redman's
up.
verse,
Yeah.
Redman's verse on Buck 50 is not better than Deck's verse on Duel of the Iron
Damian
Mike.
Frederick says, I got Buck 50. I think most people got Buck 50, man. Let's just be real.
How many people really even know about Duel of the Iron Mike like that?
I mean, it's a dope record, but it's a reason why people know about Buck 50, man. Method Man came in that bitch, man. Who I'm is the phenom.
Mike, because it's one of the few collab records on Supreme Clientele that actually, like, you know, Wu Banger 101 and Buck 50 are really the only like collab records on there. Everything else is guest appearance.
Y'all done flipped y'all wigs, blacked out the clip, dial for my kid, for my niggas and my badass kids. Freeze.
I'll still
Look
take
at
Duel of the
that,
Iron
like,
Mike.
I'm plotting on the mouse trap
Mike.
about to snatch the tease. I heard y'all niggas about that. Psychotherapy, you bugging. Where the couch at? Woo till they bury me.
Mike, you're not gonna win this on the back end anyway, no. Mike. Even if you're taking the front, go ahead, keep going.
I got Nutmeg.
Nutmeg? Investigative reports. Next.
I got investigative reports over Nutmeg. I'll give you that. Ghost Dini.
Cold World. Next.
I got Ghost Dini on that.
Ghost Dini's not better than Cold World,
yeah,
Mike. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not, Mike.
Hold me down. Hand me my cake. Dusty Baker activate. Fuck your corny debates. I'm like cake or maybe like $10,000 rabbit. The kid poofed up, switch up his accent. Now I'm from Paris. Woo! Frozen elements of gold. From the most high causing me to break the mold. How the fuck was y'all niggas thinking? You think I fell off the ledge? The legendary Ghost Dini might be dead? Never. Impossible. Pull out black burners like tonsils. 2 gallants hitting if we got to. Busting at y'all niggas daily. Ghostface this, Ghostface that. Ghost Flow Crack Nines Revelations spoken through rap.
It's just plain and simple.
It's not. I'm not gonna concede to that one. Ghost Dini's
I don't even
one of the
believe you're saying that, Mike.
Mike.
Ghost Dini's not like that. That's one of the weaker tracks on Supreme Clientele. That's on the back end. That wouldn't even, like, Mike, there's 15 tracks on Supreme Clientele. Ghost Dini's not in the top 10.
I'm Gucci down, Wally boots, and making hat long for a pound. Ask niggas how I get down. Don't speak much. Deluxe plush. Imagination. Hold a note like Willie Hutch. You might have run into me on the Rikers bus.
What are the people saying? Cold World's a better record than Ghost Dini. I'm sorry, Mike.
No,
you can rhyme all the rhymes you want to. Cold World's just a better record beginning to end on every level.
Nah.
He took the Stevie shit from Rocket Love and flipped it. Like, stop that.
Hot like Jamaica. Came through in the Booger Green 68 pacer. Mad paper high as a fuck. What?
Cold World's better record from beginning to end. I don't even know why you brought up Ghost Dini. Like, no, Mike. No. That's the fan in you coming
Bernard
out.
Bernard Crane says, go, Mike. I agree with Mike. Now, our man says Cold World. So, yeah, you know. I don't know, man. I'm going with Ghost Dini, man.
No, it's not, Michael.
Wally Boots Jamaica had long for a pound. Ask niggas how I get down. Come on, man.
They telling a whole story on Cold World. Like, come on,
I like
Mike.
Cold World. But Ghost
Mike,
is something else.
but D'Angelo did the remix. Like, that song was great like that.
What should I done Saturday night? I don't know, man. I ain't even
Saturday
put
night's
Saturday
better than
night.
Ghost Dini to me.
No, it's not. Ooh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Ghost Dini's one of the best songs on the whole album, man. He went crazy.
Not, Mike. You overrating Ghost Dini, in my opinion. I got Ghost Dini on the back end of the album. I got it somewhere next to Apollo Kids and Shay Shayla Goes.
Nah.
Yeah.
We were asking, man. No disrespect.
You're not gonna, Mike. I can't wait.
Mike,
I can't wait till these comments come out and you lose.
Rhyme connects to keep me correct. Hey, yo, I wrote this on Donnie Roof after his funeral on one knee.
Let's go.
Come on, man.
Let's backtrack right quick. So we got Fourth Chamber.
You got Fourth Chamber, Over Mighty Healthy. We got We Made It, and you went what? Shadowboxing?
Shadowboxing, yeah. So I'm up 2-0 right there.
No, it's 3-3 now. And then I did one.
I can give you one, Mike. I love one.
And then I got Buck 50 over, Duel.
Mike, I might be bugging a little bit. You can have that.
Buck
That's
50
Redman and
space.
Meth. No, Redman and Meth and Ghost at a high level on there.
And Capadonna did his thing too.
Mike, he offbeat, but it's okay.
I love that Kappa verse. All right,
He
Nutmeg.
offbeat, Mike.
Nutmeg, that got ate up by what was it?
Investigative
reports.
So I
love
3.
investigative reports. And then I got Ghostini over Cold World.
So you got 2, not 3.
No, it's 3-3. Because
What's
I
next?
got Buck 50, Ghostini.
No, you're right. You
and
got
one.
Buck 50. No, that's fine. What's next, Mike?
Ghostini is fire.
No, it's not. It's not like that.
I don't know. Let's do Saturday Night.
That's fine, Mike. Labels.
I like Saturday Night more than Labels, but
Saturday
I respect
Night's
Labels.
not better than Labels, Mike. Go to the chat, Mike. Saturday Night's not better than Labels. That's what I'm telling you about these records. These records, when you actually start putting them next to each other, he don't got Jizza.
Jacob 6 says, Coop, you bugging. You think you've been right along all along. So cringe. Rapping other people's bars. Everybody could do that.
I mean, Mike's been doing the same thing, but that's
I'm
okay.
doing this. Bernard Crane says Coop's wrong on Ghost Drink though. I don't know. And we got somebody in here that says Wu Banger 101. Saturday Night and Labels, man. I'll give you Labels. I mean,
Labels is a better record than Saturday Night,
okay.
Mike. I think you know that.
I'm fine with that. Let's just go Wu Banger number 1. I mean 101 since somebody mentioned it.
No, that's fine. I kind of figured I was going to lose that record. You can have Gold off the Jizz's album, Mike. You can have Gold. You can take Wu Banger 101. That's a great record.
I'm just picking records.
No,
and
hold on. You want to know what? If I was picking in order, Mike, if you want to know what, all jokes aside, Mike, the next record I would pick would be Liquid Swords. So we can put Liquid Swords against Wu Banger 101.
I got somebody in here saying that Saturday Night is better. And then somebody else, a man says, Mike, please stop. Labels is a classic. You're right. I put Labels over Saturday Night. That's real.
That's
clear.
Mike. Like, that's pretty clear, Mike.
No, that's clear. But it's also clear that, you know what I'm saying, what was next? It was Wu Banger 101. Did I take Gold or what did I take?
No, you can take Liquid Swords. You can take Liquid Swords off my plate. I'm going to keep it fair, like go in order of strength, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. So Shay Lagos.
Killer Hills 10304.
I don't know, man. Shay Lagos is it's a record. It's a classic.
What beat is better? What rhyme is better? Because it's about beats and
What's
rhymes.
the better
what Tribe Called
song?
Quest called
I
album?
thought you
Beat,
just
rhymes,
said
and life.
I thought you just
like that's what I'm saying. Killer Hills 10304 is beats, rhymes, and life. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were saying better song.
Yeah, Killer Hills 10304 is a better song than Shay Lagos, Mike. It is.
I disagree with that.
On what level is Shay Lagos better? Is it better lyrically? No. Is the
No,
beat
it's
better?
not
No.
for that. It's just
it's a bigger hit record. That doesn't necessarily make it better. That's like saying Big Papa's better than Everyday Struggle. No, it's not. It's not a better record.
That's an interesting comparison.
Interesting comparison, because that's kind of what we're doing when we're doing that. We're taking a record.
But let's keep it real. If
record.
we had to rank a song, though, on an all-time songs list, we would have to put Big Papa over Everyday Struggle.
Mike, but if we were ranking Biggie songs, we would rank Everyday Struggle higher than Big Papa.
I don't know if we would.
If we were ranking the strength of his songs, yeah, I would like to think so, because that's one of his strongest records.
It is
Mike, and it's one of the strongest records on Ready to Die. That's what I'm saying. Shay Lagos is a dope record. It's a great classic single. It ain't fucking with Killer Hills 10304.
What about Malcolm?
I love Malcolm. I don't have anything for Malcolm. I would actually go Swordsman. Swordsman would be my next one.
Nah, we got that one.
Yeah, you got Malcolm. Even though I love Swordsman, the lyrics on there are some of Jizz's best shit. That's one of his best performances solo on there too.
So it looks like it's 5-5, and so
I told you it's comparable.
As a
Mike.
tiebreaker, I'm gonna put Stay True out there.
You're gonna go Stay True?
I mean, I got a lot to choose from, so you know. I know you're running low.
Well, that's only because there's less songs to choose from. That's like you and the whole KRS thing talking about I'm declined. Well, nigga, I only got 13 songs to choose from. You got 15, so you have an advantage.
I could go Apollo Kids. I could go The Grain. I could go, stay
I'm surprised
true.
you didn't go the grain. You didn't like the
I
grain.
love the grain.
You
I
were
the
wise
grain.
for choosing nutmeg over the grain. Nutmeg is brilliant.
I love Nutmeg. That's a great record. But
No, Mike, I'm
you
gonna go.
got
I
me on
got
that.
your back.
What's that? I got your back. Nah, I
Yeah,
think I win that one.
because I'm not gonna use the Killer Priest track because you know what I'm saying basic
Well,
instructions
it's
before
on the
leaving Earth.
album. It's on
I
the
mean,
album.
Mike, if
So
we're talking about strength of record, then I'm using Bible because
yeah,
I'm
it's a
using
great record.
Bible.
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah,
strongest records on there actually. So
and that's, I don't know
SD21 says
about that.
Supreme
I don't know about
Clientele.
that.
SD21 says Supreme Clientele got extra points because Wu had fallen off a bit after Forever. It's not as good as the first wave of solos. That's interesting. That's an interesting point because you did bring up the fact that Liquid Swords was coming in that Only Built for Cuban Links rhythm, and
What can I say?
and that's a fair point. And the fact that Ghost was kind of fighting against a lot of different elements, and the fact that the group was in a different place. I think Ghost had been locked up for a second or whatever too.
Yep, Ghost had been locked up and was having health issues.
Yeah. So to come out and make that after having to follow up Iron Man 2 because everybody else in the clan at that point hadn't really successfully followed up their, first round of Wu-Tang solo efforts. So it's a lot of elements in there, and to kind of put the clan on his back in the time that he did it, I will give Supreme Clientele a lot of points for that.
So, but Liquid Swords deserves the same kind of points just for a different reason because I think people forget Liquid Swords is the album where everybody realized, no, this is the best rap crew ever. What Supreme Clientele was solidify and remind what Liquid Swords validated. Everything after Liquid Swords was icing on the cake because it went into the Wu-Tang to Cal, Return, Cuban Links, and then Liquid Swords. When Liquid Swords dropped, it was like, no, there's nobody messing with these guys like in the history of rap. Supreme Clientele is the reminder of what Liquid Swords provided. Because, Mike, there's nothing like that run of Return to the 36 Chambers, to the Purple Tape, to Liquid Swords. Iron Man was like some classic icing on the cake type of shit where it's like, well, we knew couldn't nobody fuck with him, and here's a further reminder.
No,
so
for
Ghost,
real.
So Ghost is actually his two real classic albums are the reminder pieces, but Liquid Swords was a statement because, and that's what I mean, the Wu-Tang shit on there. It was like, it was a carryover from the Purple Tape, but it wasn't on some street shit. It got back to their roots on some rap shit. It's like, no, these dudes can jump in any element and survive it.
And you know what?
Like
I
they
will
can
give
jump
you
in
credit.
Raid and Ghost Chamber, which is the streets, and it's gonna be epic. They can jump in that super lyrical, old school Rock M Nas style type chamber and Liquid Swords. Oh, and they gonna do that too. And so that was what made it a moment too.
I'll give you credit, man. Like usually the debate is Liquid Swords are only built for Cuban Links. So I would say a vast majority of people would have Liquid Swords over Supreme Clientele. I myself, maybe I'm biased in that sense, but that was when Ghost kind of became as an individual on my radar personally. With
solo icon Ghost is created on Supreme Clientele.
Definitely.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because the way Ghost rapping on Iron Man, the dude that you hear on Supreme Clientele, that's not the same guy. Like he's 10 times better, which is saying a lot because he's pretty damn great on Iron Man. But he's 10 times better on Clientele. Liquid Swords is just a moment. And I think it's one of the finest moments in hip hop that kind of goes understated because of the Purple Tape.
It said in here in the chat, I think it's Manan, I hate to mispronounce your name. Jizza and Deck are the best lyrically in the Wu.
Yes.
You agree with that? Okay.
Yes.
Derek Jennings says, he says, Pretty Tony was dope. It was, man. I really love the Pretty Tony LP. But again, I think I left it off of this list because of the lack of involvement of Wu-Tang. Chandler says Iron Man was the second part of Only Built for Cuban Links, as if it was a double disc.
No, it's totally different. It's a whole different chamber. Outside, I mean, like if you listen to Iron Man and listen to Purple Tape, the only time they really on their Purple Tape shit is actually on 260. 260 is a Purple Tape shit. Like they on their crime shit, but like the rest of that shit is just different. They getting real fly with it. Like they're trying to show you how colorful and dazzling they are with the rhyme displays on Iron Man, and they're doing it well.
You know what? I want to ask you this. Yeah. Not to interrupt, man. I want to ask you, why do you have the 36 Chambers Into the Wu-Tang above Liquid Swords. I mean, you spoke highly of Liquid Swords.
Mike, you can't do nothing with the haymakers on Enter the Wu-Tang. I think the only other album that has the gravity of songs that just hit you on the level that they hit you, Mike. Like, I mean, we kind of spoke why Enter the Wu-Tang is better, Mike. Their B-sides became classic singles. The B-sides are classic
Yeah.
singles, Mike. Like chess boxing, your B-side. Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With is a B-side. Method Man is a B-side. It's a B-side. So that means there's an A-side, which means you got 6 classic records on your album already, apparently, because those are your 3 B-sides that got released, right?
Yes. Here's the
So you
track
got Cream,
list.
Can It All Be So Simple, and Protect Your Neck. Those are 6 classic rap songs, Mike. Those are 6 of the greatest 100 rap songs ever
Well,
on one album.
the album starts off with Bring the Ruckus,
Bring the
Shame
Ruckus.
on a Nigga, Clan in the Front, Wu-Tang 7th Chamber, Can It All
Yep.
Be So Simple, The Mystery of Chess Boxing, Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With, Cream, Method Man, Protect Your Neck, Tears, 7th Chamber Part 2, and the conclusion. So, yeah,
It's a tour de force of an album, Mike. It's one
we've
of the
never
best
seen
rap
anything
albums
like
ever.
it at that point.
Hmm?
We've never seen anything like it at that point with this many guys who call themselves one group being this strong individually, coming together to put together such strong material on one effort.
Mike, part of the reason why Method Man and Old Dirty Bastard became stars in the crew so early is because you could identify Method Man because of the song Method Man and because of how Old Dirty Bastard rap. Because you spent the first 3 months that you were listening to the album trying to figure out who the fuck everybody was.
Yeah.
You had never, as a hip hop listener, you had never even been charged with the task of trying to figure out who everybody was.
Yeah, and nobody was on the cover, so it wasn't like you could
Nobody was
kinda-
on the cover. They
yeah.
ain't ski masks.
Yeah. So it wasn't like, and just the mystery of it all and how hardcore
Right.
it was and just everything that it ushered in. I know we talk about Griselda a lot and the fact that, Mobb Deep's The Infamous was kind of like the precursor of a lot of things they're doing. But Into the 36, that ushered in a whole new era.
Mike, so people
Period.
always feel like Nas and Big bought the East Coast back. And no, they didn't.
No.
Wu-Tang bought the East Coast back with Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. They the ones that bought the East Coast back. Because they bought the focus back to rhymes and skills with that album, because you had never heard a collective of MCs so entertaining, so skillful, so intelligent, so articulate. It was like pulling something out of the bag with every song, Mike. Like you bring up Seventh Chamber when you said that, it's like, yeah, that's the weakest song on that album. That's saying a lot.
It's crazy, man. And kind of like what we were saying with Bone Thugs too. Like they stuck to their guns and they had some of the biggest singles for it. Cream is not something that you would say, yo, this is gonna be a real big hit.
None of those songs
sonically,
say
you don't
that.
hear that song and be like, yeah, this is gonna be a classic. But it was.
But here's the thing about it, and that's the thing, even with all those songs, when you first heard them, like this album came out around the time I was moving to Charlotte from Atlanta. And like I remember it well because my cousins were playing it everywhere when I moved up there. But it was one of those records that every song on there felt great, but you didn't know how great it was because of how new and innovative they were. That's what I mean. It might be the most innovative rap album ever. You didn't even know how to properly contextualize what they were doing on that first rap album, rapping together like that. It had never really been done. Mike, the symphony was such a moment because it was like, oh, you got 4 MCs on one track together, self-destruction, all that other stuff. They essentially took that format
It made a
and
whole
ran
album.
with it.
Yeah. The fact that RZA did everything on this album, it's like a moment that we won't get back. I mean, that's never going to happen again.
Right. Hey, Mike, we got to wrap this up. I got to go.
No, that's cool. We are running kind of long. All right, so our number one is going to be Only Built for Cuban Links. So we both agree on that. I want to hear your perspective on why that's number one.
I mean, Mike, I think it's the 3rd best rap album ever. I mean, lyrically, beat-wise, concept-wise, guest appearance wise, there's no flaws or cracks with this album.
Yeah.
It's one of the few albums that I feel like is a end-to-end player with no flaws. And the only two albums I have above it are the only two albums that I feel like are end-to-end players that feel more flawless, which is Illmatic and Aquemini. I have the Purple Tape as a hip-hop classic of the highest order. Mike, I have it above Paid in Full and Doggy Style and Reasonable Doubt.
To piggyback off of that, I think everybody's features on there were top notch. I think that they brought the best out of everybody on that record. Method Man got on there, whether it were a hook, whether it were a verse, he went in. Same thing with RZA, and obviously RZA's production. Obviously Nas's appearance on
Verbal
Intercourse. I was sitting here thinking lyrical intercourse. Verbal Intercourse and Master Killer's appearance.
On Glaciers of Ice.
Glaciers of Ice.
Capadonna on Ice Water.
Capadonna on Ice Water.
Deck and Jizza on Guillotine.
Yeah, man. Deck and Jizza on Guillotine is crazy. I think Guillotine is one of those songs where it's like, you don't know who has the best verse.
Mike, actually, can I say something right quick?
Uh-huh.
That's the Wu-Tang posse cut. Of all the posse cuts, that's the posse cut because it's the one, even after all these years, we're still arguing about who has the best verse on there.
I mean, Poisonous Paragraph smashed the phonograph in half. That is a great start.
But the Jizza, I think the nigga don't get mad. I got mad styles of my own, and it's shown when my hands grip the chrome microphone.
I like Jizza's verse the best, actually, personally.
Mike, in high school, I had a lot of cats tell me because I thought Deck's verse was the best. A lot of the older G's used to be like, nah, Jizza actually got him on that. And that ain't even counting Ray and Ghost's verse, which is crazy. They playing co-stars on the song on their album.
And then we're talking about Incarcerated Scarfaces. Then you got Ice Cream in this mix.
I'm about to say, Mike, and that's not counting the MVP because Method Man is the co-star MVP of this album.
Yeah. So the
Ice Cream, Wu Gambino's, his verse on Wu Gambino's, this album, that was the over the top moment because let's go in order of the album. Mm-hmm. Ice Cream is track 15.
Yeah.
Wu Gambino's is track 16. When Meth pops up at the end of the album, at the end, Mike, after you know that it's already a classic and he does that, it's like over the top. It's like, this is some of the best shit I ever heard.
Yeah.
He's the over the top moment on the Purple Tape. When he comes in on Ice Cream, when you hear it for the first time, not the video, because that's the third single, Mike. But when you hear Ice Cream for the first time, and then you go into Wu Gambino's, you like, man, good night.
Okay, so we got that as number one. You know what? I'm before we get up out of here, I want to actually go in and I guess let everybody know that I had Iron Man at 6 and Wu-Tang Forever at 5. I'm switching that for Iron Man at 5 and Wu-Tang Forever at 6. And I think you said you were switching around Old Dirty Bastards, Dirty version. Where were you putting that? You were putting that ahead of Only Built for Cuban Links 2 or Wu-Tang Forever?
Got to bump that up above the Purple Tape too.
Okay,
gotta
cool.
Bump that up.
So and you know what? I'm standing firm on my Supreme Clientele pick over Liquid Swords, but I get it.
No, we're gonna have to do a Liquid Swords Supreme Clientele post. That's supposed to be happen.
We are, man. Because again, I didn't come totally prepared for that specific debate, but you tried to warn me. I didn't know you were gonna have 10 songs.
No. I told you yesterday that you need to get ready. But I'll tell you what, too, Mike. And here's how high some other people, even outside of me, think of Liquid Swords. I know some heads that prefer Liquid Swords over the Purple Tape because they feel like the Purple Tape is too skit heavy, and Liquid Swords is the real unadulterated hip hop that you get out of Wu-Tang from the solo albums.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna listen to our top 5 today. So, all right. Well, not sure what's coming out Friday, but you know we should be back on Friday to talk about something. So, had some great shows the past couple of days, and man, this was a great conversation. Wu-Tang Wednesday, and we are out.
Wu-Tang.